Well, welcome again. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. And we are in the fall season and getting close to almost finishing out. Winter is amongst us. It's been an interesting time this year so far. And we like to make sure everybody gets in there and start clicking up because this is a very important show today. One of our historic fall shows with some friends that I revere as champions of our game. And I mean champions because they've taken something from the underground and brought it overground. And it's so funny. We were just laughing about selling out. And I answered one of them and said, they've sold out 3 or 4 times already. So it's a good sellout when they do. They also set the mark, these two. They set the mark in the beginning of the game when the game was just starting. You know, there was a transition that happened in the 80s and 90s towards the end that was really important. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So here we go. Welcome to True House Stories. I'm Lenny Fontana coming out of New York City. And today we're taking it Jersey, New York, and then down south. And why am I saying New York and New Jersey? These two twins, okay, running around all the clubs at night and pushing their music and made a lot of things happen from a time when there was nothing to look back at. There was no Google. Nothing was written in books. You went out in the street, you haggled. And when I mean in the street, you hung out with other DJs and other producers and singers, and you came up with ideas. And these two fellas, amongst others, came up with a record label called NuGroove, created that at a time when we would like to say when house music was house music. Chicago had its thing, and New York was just starting to put it together with this thing. And NuGroove Records was born. These two guys called the Burrell brothers would be in their lab cutting records within a day and a half, have them out. No recalls, never doing them over. You got what you got, and that's the way it was because their attitude was it was right. If it wasn't right, they felt it was right, and they weren't going to make the changes. And you know what? History has shown now they were right at the time. Okay? So enough of me talking. I like to introduce to the show Rheji Burrell, one. There's the one twin.
That's right.
And Ronald Burrell.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I could say which one's even better looking.
You need the clap track, man. You gotta fucking hit the yeah. You gotta hit that, man.
Oh, by the
way, that tapes.
That tapes.
Yeah, you know what I was gonna do. You know what I was gonna spring on you, and I still might. I might take a break. You might see me disappear. I got one of the first records we ever did on cassette. I have the cassette. I still have all. I have the piece of paper that Karen and we'll get into it, but they wrote their number on. I spelled their names wrong. So I'm a bit of, I ain't gonna say historian, but maybe like a geek. That's about right. Every time I did something, I snatched something. It could have been the tape from the studio session, could have been just something insignificant, but I have a lot of pieces of memorabilia. I would dare call it history now, but yeah, we do that. Me and Ronald, I got closets full of stuff that just can remind you of great times that we've had. But thank you for having us on the show, and thank you for that incredible introduction. I think you got it just right. You got it just right. We absolutely did not. Can I curse on it? We didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's not children. No, we didn't. No children. Yeah, you did.
No. We good. Yeah, no. You hit it right on the head. That's exactly what we did and how we felt about it.
First of all, for guys like myself that were coming up right under you, okay, because I was at the same time right there doing this with you. Mm-hmm. You set a lot of precedents for a lot of us, and even though when you were no longer in house music, you weren't forgotten. Because you were still doing what you were doing, but we all said, "What happened to the Burrell Brothers? Yo, man, they're making buku cash now." That's good humor, everybody. What? Ron and Rich?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those boys are making tons and tons of cash now.
Mm-hmm.
So God bless you. You know, not many can say that. Not many can say that.
You wouldn't be wrong. But yeah, you know what? But it all came from, like what you just said, that intro was perfect. It's like we really didn't give a fuck. And you had to go on the street and earn it. You had to do it shaking hands, kissing babies, fucking going into the clubs, hanging out with the Clark Kents and the Red Alerts and the Pal Joeys and the whoever the fuck else, learning people's names, learning their fucking records, laughing under your breath, but being like, fuck that. You never know who's going to be what. Anything you could do to just, be who you are and learn who they are. And we would come back, like you said, in a day, do a record. Frank, Karen, never A&R artists.
Never.
That is the one thing I take from Frank that he always said to me just once. He said it once. And he said, if you're as good as you think you are, we'll fucking see. He said, I'm not going to listen to your record.
Mm-hmm.
He handed it in. He put it out.
Yeah. He rarely listened to our records. He said, if you are as good as you think you are, we're going to find out.
So basically what that means, everyone, is let the buying public decide how good the Burrells really are.
Mm-hmm.
I respect him to this day for that.
For that. If I got anything from our relationship, that was saying, do your shit. And I'm not going to get in the way. I'm just the guy pressing up records. I'm not going to tell you what to do because we already did the album on Virgin. He already heard all the stuff. He's already invested and vetted in Burrell. And he's like, I'm not going to be the one to tell you what you need to do. What I'm going to do is be a part of the system. You guys create, we put it out. And I'm not going to get in the way. He said, if you are who you think you are, not who I think you are, and see how important that is? If you are who you think you are, we're going to find out. And we found out.
So basically, put your balls on the table and let's see if you got balls.
But that's the only way it would have worked because me and Ronald wouldn't have heard nothing else. Who the fuck are you, A&R me? That was the attitude. And if you knew anything about Frank, he had an attitude problem too. He's like, I'm fucking Frank Mandel. Do what I do. I don't do what you do. So I'm going to hold you accountable to do what it is you do.
All right, so let's take it back because you got to get that ego from somewhere. So I want to take it back to in Mom's womb. Where's this music all begin for the Burrell brothers?
All right, so first, if I could speak first, Ronald, ego is a false sense of self. So it's not ego. It's definitely confidence. And the confidence comes from freedom, meaning if you're free to fail, you're also free to succeed. And what we did is we paid attention. My father, being number one, he taught us to observe and then do what works.
Hold on one second, Rich. Ron, if you're not speaking, can you just mute your mic because I'm getting an echo from when Reggie's talking. And when you start speaking, just unmute it, okay?
So the confidence is what we've always kind of, and coming from New York, you're from New York, and again, I'm not disrespecting any place else. So I guess for any inner city, you got to hold your own. You got to be street worthy, right? Even just in kindergarten, if you want the blocks, you got to go get them. Ain't nobody coming to bring them to you. So we already had a gang mentality, if you will, with me and Ronald being twins. I was born with my gang member. So we already had this, fuck with me, you fucking with him. So the confidence came from both my father being a staff sergeant in the Army. So he was the guy giving all the commands. And when you learn to respect that kind of authority, you become not just the teacher, you become the student. So we were a student of a very strong man and the product of a very strong woman. They both were self-disciplined to know that if you were consistent, you are going to make it at some point. If you keep doing what you're doing correctly, the outcome is going to be what you want it to be, whatever that is, right? So from the womb, my mother says, you see that record player behind us, right? Show that picture again. There you go. That's what we grew up with. A record player, front and center. Like you see my mother, me, him, and a record player. So that'll tell you everything you need to know right there. Music of all genres was constantly in my house. My father was a big doo-wop soul person. My mother did the Gladys Knight and all that. We also had Conway Twitty, Bachman Turner Overdrive. Carpenters, and you know, Zapp, Roger Troutman. We listen to it all, right? So that's where the musical confidence comes from, because I guess if you're musically inclined and then you're exposed to AM radio, singer songwriter stuff, funk, soul, R&B, you start to speak the language, because music is a language. We understood music on the external end, meaning when it comes through the speakers, we understood it. I can't say that I'm this big jazz bass player or I knew all the timings and all that stuff, but the end product we understood very well from a young age. And I think that's where my confidence comes from, because I'm an outcome driven person. So if it sounds good at whatever road you took, I needed to sound like what Marvin Gaye was doing. I needed to sound like what Slade was doing. I needed to be comparable. I need that feeling that I got when I listened to Stevie Wonder. So if I got that feeling, then it's mission accomplished. And that's where the confidence comes from, because I work towards an excellent goal. And I think Ronald could say the same, because I many times he's making records and I just step to the side. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not messing this up. He's got it. If I think if I can affect the outcome in a positive manner, I'm gonna jump in. Like, oh, speed that up, turn the bass line. But if he got it, he's got it, and that's more than not.
Before I let Ronald speak, did you learn? Were you properly trained in any musical instrumentation?
Enough to know I didn't want to be properly trained. Meaning we both had the beginning lessons. I played like violin and things like that. But when you start getting too structured, you start, to me, this is my opinion. I don't know if you want to take that as a disclaimer or, again, I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, for me, when you start telling me what to do is when I started losing interest in structured. Like, it's got to be boom, 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 boom. I say, why can't it be boom, 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 boom? Like, why can't I do that? And when I start hearing other people's version of music, I say, oh no, I got my own opinion of how music goes. So at that point is when I get very not just disheartened about what they were doing, but excited and inspired about what I'm about to do. Because if you think that was good, watch this. Because what I'm singing in my head is better than what you're hearing. That's how I always came out. Even with records, how DJs would take the best part of a Queen record and they go, no, this is the part I want to hear more of. That's what I did with records. I'd hear a break and go, well, the strings should have, and I make a record where the strings, and that's my version of what I just heard. My interpretation, my inspiration from what I heard is what I make. And again, that's why I think me and my brother are so eclectic, because I pull from everything I've ever heard and make what I do. So if it was jazz and it feels like something Patrice Rushen would have did, I do it. If it's something that, you know, anybody, Lionel Richie could have did, or a note that's in a song that I always admired, I'm piecing this all together from what I learned. And I learned from the masters. And I guess if you fast forward a little bit, me and Ronald played in a cover band. So we had to analyze and duplicate hit records.
There's always a backstory of why things come this way. So
so the earliest, my mother played a lot of records. We just innately kind of understood what the end result of songs were, what the feeling behind it was, why someone did this, or the note that was involved. I automatically understood the language. It's like kids speaking whatever your native language is. Somebody speak to you enough, you start to speak Chinese if they speak in Chinese, right? So music, and I would like to say money is that way too. If you're around money all the time, you'll understand money, what it does. So I understood music, and it's from my parents playing a lot of different types of music. So I knew the differences and I knew the commonalities in all of it.
And that's why I'm going to ask Reg now to pick up from this part. Reggie, it's important. Ronald, it's important to tell us your side as well, because I know you're right next to him, strength to strength on this.
Well, that's the reason why we're twins, because we had basically the same identical process with this, except for, and I think for me, our strength in knowing exactly the difference between me and Reggie actually comes out in our music. In a lot of ways, we're identical in real life. I mean, I've had girlfriends who thought he was me and I was him, and people run up in the club and thought that was Ronald and Reggie. My own mother would call us Ronald Reggie.
Oh, by the way, me too.
Yeah. So
I thought the same thing too at Zanzibar. I remember saying, no, I'm Ron. No, I'm
yeah. So, but one thing, and sometimes people would go, "That's a nice record." It was Reggie's record, and I still take credit for it. But technically, forever, if I did a record, it was me. If Reggie did a record, it was indelibly him. That's where we found our identities. Is we can take credit for it, but me and him know that good job, Reggie. You that's individual. I can tell a Reggie record. I can't duplicate him in music.
Really?
Doesn't do what I do. No, I can't. I can show you records where I tried to be him. It worked, but to me it failed. He could tell you records that when Benoit came out, he tried to do one. I loved the record, but I didn't think Benoit. And he said, well, it didn't sound like that, but it actually came out good.
Right.
Like, okay.
In other words, his strengths inspire me. What I don't do, like you might see Reggie records as being maybe more vocally intricate because I thought in the band I was more of a vocalist. Ronald was the keyboard player. So when you listen to Ronald's music, the keyboards and the musicality is like on some other shit. My stuff is mostly tracky with probably vocals. His is a lot of instrumentation and craziness with maybe a vocal to smooth it out a little bit, make it a little more understandable. So if you go back and listen to me like Song of the Siren, it's all deep, chords, crazy. Me, I'm more like Housing Authority. It's just boom, 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 and I'm just rocking. So that would be the difference between what we took from the music we heard.
Right.
And it may not necessarily be true of what we took in, but it's what we put out. Right. So I may love playing bass and guitar and all that, but you never hear that in my records though. I don't play bass and guitar in house music records because I feel my house music doesn't do that. Ronald's house music does what he wants it to do. Now, if I'm making R&B and pop and stuff, that's where my musicality comes in because the R&B records that I love were very musical. Right, so I try to emulate Ronald. I try to get his stamp of approval. Because if he says the shit's banging, it's banging. I don't need to hear it no more. I think it is. But if he hears keyboard, he's oh, that shit's bad. I'm like, I'm done. Give a fuck what nobody else thinks. Couldn't care less.
Well, you didn't
really.
You didn't make records to impress anybody else. Just to make records for you guys, right?
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. I really didn't give a fuck. And I mean, somebody had to tell me that. Like,
well, I do. Hang on. I do. Wait. Mm-hmm. Just turn your microphone down, Ron, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Right there?
A little bit lower because it's distorted. Because I want to hear you curse clear, not distorted.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go.
I mean, in my mind, I never thought about what anyone else thought. It never crossed my mind.
It never crossed my mind. And I'm not, it's not in an arrogant way. No. It's in the purest form. Like, I really do make my music for me. And then I share it.
And I share it.
Right.
And I hope people like it. Mm-hmm. But that almost didn't even matter to me. Mm-hmm. I like that I put it out. Right. And that I got out what I liked.
Right.
And it just worked for us.
And it's not arrogant or egotistical. I wish every musician, if you don't do it, try it that way. Try it that way first. Instead of thinking about the 17,000 people that don't know you and probably, whatever. If you said, what turns me on? And I think the best musicians, best artists do that. They're their biggest fans. First, I have to love it. And then I'm able to stand behind it and go, look what I'm giving you.
Okay.
Look what I have to offer you.
Reggie and Ron, but when you guys were coming up as kids, who were the muses for you? I know you said Marvin Gaye.
Oh, man.
Who did you want to be? Like you look at, for me, for example, I would look at Chicago, the group, and say, God, I love to make records like that.
Peter Cetera. Yeah. Peter Cetera is one of them.
Right. Peter Cetera. Like that. Like you said.
Yeah.
But you know what? It would be, and I know this is going to sound really fucked up, and allow me to explain. Everybody that did it right, to me, I could listen to an Earth, Wind, and Fire record just like I could listen to a Carpenter's record.
Right.
And I want to get religious for a minute. I know it's a gift from God when you get it right. Like, even when you get it wrong, it's a learning process. But man, I could name a couple of perfect records that you just can't fuck with. Like, let's say Roger Troutman's Computer Love. What the hell else do you want from him? Cameo, anything cameo, Shake Your Pants. You ever listen to that record? Something beyond human was in the room helping them put the mix, from the mix to the master, the album covers, just genius. And if I can get that feeling from the people that do it right. And I learned from a Stevie Wonder, Rocket Love. You ever listen to that record? You ever, I mean, he could have made a billion records, but that record and Isn't She Lovely is another one.
Right.
It brings me to tears. I got 5 daughters. When you get it right, I learn from you, whoever you are. I don't care who you are. I mean, we had the opportunity to work with
Stevie Nicks. Yep.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, all of it. Tell Me Lies and all that. Yeah, man.
With me? Come on,
I get Bryan Adams, all of them. I get it.
I know, because you sit down, you listen to the records together as brothers, and you say to yourself, "My God, that part's the bomb."
Yeah,
I want that. Yeah. I want records to have the string section like that.
Yep.
We talked about it. All of us talked about when you're making records. That's what you do. You dissect a record.
Yep. So it's not just one person; it's everybody that has done it right.
Teddy Pendergrass.
And there's a lot of right.
Billy International. Oh yeah.
Yeah. From Soft Rock, James Taylor. You ever hear that record, When You Smile, or whatever it is? Come on, man. I mean, that's right. It's right. And I think about the drums in that record, even Phil Collins. When you think about drum rolls, how you not think about that one?
Oh, Genesis with him and the drum rolls are ridiculous.
So if you're not inspired by the people that's doing it right, it's not just one person. It's not. It's everybody that has done it correctly. Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet Album, dope, 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 dope. When I need to do a dope, 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 it better be as dope as that.
Yeah, right. If it ain't,
if I'm gonna bother to do that, that's what I'm gonna do it with. If I'm gonna get on the vocoder, I better be aiming for Roger Troutman. Or why do it?
Right.
Right. So I have all my heroes. Even we got a chance to work with Leroy Burgess. I don't know if people know he's a hero, but he's one of mine. His vocals and what he does on the piano, the crazy. If I'm going to do something that feels like that, we called him. Right? And Ronald worked with him, and I was sitting there like a little kid. I didn't even touch nothing. I was like, you guys don't need me here. With Ronald and Leroy in the same room, I'm just a spectator, and I did loved every minute of it.
So you say Ronald's like a Ramsey Lewis on keys?
Ronald is Ronald, right?
You know what I'm saying, right? Ronald. When I say that, it's a complimentary. These
no, it is a complimentary, but you know what?
These are
for me, it was like when I was working with Leroy, it was an over compliment. I'm like, I know I'm here and I deserve to be here, but I actually really don't, because he makes me who I am.
Right.
So how do I really deserve to be with my maker?
Right.
I say that all the time too. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I actually asked Michael Moog. I said, I have a song that is beyond me. Like, I know it's a gift. I can't do it. I don't have the ability to sing it. I don't, and I'm a singer. And he said, well, why don't you get him to sing it? I said, him who? He said, that's Leroy Burgess. I said, what? Who? He said, Leroy Burgess. And he went over to him and said, yo, my man has a song.
Black Ivory.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, you got a song you want to sing? All right, let's go do it. I was like, I mean, when do you go? He said, let's go now. And I got in my car, went to the studio, did it in one day, came back, Todd, Terry, Louis Vega, everybody put out a song called Pray.
Yeah, and I was sitting in the studio, and I was like, I'm just going to watch it.
How did this just happen?
I'm just going to watch it. Like, Leroy Burgess is in my mother's basement making records.
But hang on, fellas. This is what I try to explain to everybody. There's a thing called passion here, too, going on. This is not about fiduciary part. This is pre-fiduciary. This is when you're talking now, we're all just making fire. You know what I mean? Like, you're making fire. You're not in a position where you're going, I need to go and pay electric bills. You're not on that level.
No.
Right? You just yo, Philip Bailey's gonna come in the studio.
But you want to know something though? If I can, I'll elaborate on this. If you consider it your job, then your job has like policies and procedures, right? The procedure is love what you're doing, because then you can stand behind it, right? So you can't put the money in front of the love because you're going wrong. That's like putting the cake in the oven without mixing it. There's a process to having an end result. We understood the process was like, we're in the studio now. It's music time. All that other shit doesn't matter right now. It matters at some point, like there's goals and milestones and the ultimate, like being a football player, right? The goal is to score, but you have 4 downs each time to do it. So you got to accomplish something each time you step in the studio.
Okay, so then let's have the timeline as to this whole thing starts to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
From high school.
Okay.
You take us down the road so we understand what's going on.
Well,
where you're at, the whole deal.
This guy deceased, rest in peace, Spanky. He for some reason approached me and said, "I heard you play keyboards," and I was like, "I guess." And he said, "You want to be in the band?" I was like, "Okay." And I said, "Well," he said, "Tryouts are tomorrow, whatever it is." And I said, "All right." And I came home and I told Reggie they want me to try out for this band, and he didn't say anything. But on my way out, he said, "I said, you want to come with me?" He said, "All right, come on." So we both walk up there. I get on the keyboards, and Reggie's sitting in the corner, and he goes, "Well, what does your brother do?" He said, "He sings." He said, "And plays percussion." He said, "All right, try him too." Got on in. We singing, jamming, having a great time like we always did. He said, "All right, you both are in the band. All right, what are we doing? Oh, let's play some Slave. Let's play some Cameo. Let's play some early hip hop. We can play anything we like." Yeah.
Basically, it was top 40. Okay. Whatever was on the radio, we had to
just through high school, being able to do whatever we want. Could leave class when I want. All the girls loved us. The principal was also a black belt. We were starting to get our black belts, so we could talk to him about anything. We once had to stop the entire school because they wanted to hear us play. So they stopped. Made an assembly.
Yeah. We can literally call the school down to the auditorium so they can hear our band play.
Everybody wants to hear these dudes sing, so let's just do it. And so ego, or whatever you call it, came from doing stupid stuff like that, where I could go, I want to go to the college, and my teachers would sign passes and let me just get off school and go up to the college and get girls. So, all that came from Clark Kent put it best. He once dated a girl from where I'm from. He said, "Now I see where the Burrells get their ego from, fucking assholes. Now I see." now I see where you get it from, because everybody in that town supports and loves you. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's the ego. Yeah, I know.
What town is this?
Franklin Township. Shout out Franklin Township, Somerset, New Jersey.
Franklin Township.
And quiet as it's kept, me and Ronald were probably the most well, I wouldn't call it ambition. It was we knew not to get in the way of what was going on. A lot of musicians there that are probably superior, or obviously definitely superior musician wise, but this thing is like a recipe. You can have all the sugar in the world, but you still need salt, pepper, flour. You need a lot of other things that go with it. I'm sure anybody could tell you, even basketball players be like, I wasn't the one. I'm the one that made it out, but there was probably 5 other guys who were better than me. Well, there were a lot of people with very talented community. And if we can also add that to the mix of why we're so confident, because we could hang with people that on paper would probably be better than us. There were bands out there that were being courted by Slave, and I mean they were really accomplished musicians. But we get on there and show our ass, like we get up there and have a ball. I mean we knock it out. We're performers, good looking guys. So the crowd will remember us maybe for another reason. We wasn't up there doing Fire and Desire by Rick James and them. That's a very intricate piece. We get up there and do Heartbeat and kill it. Right. So I understood some things maybe they didn't really get as well as us. Again, the output, the ultimate prize. What are we trying to do? Entertain people. That's really what you're doing on stage, is entertaining people.
We're taking people out of their everyday smut and giving them something to look forward to. Taking them out of their own head. And we always remember that. I always did a lot of songs where I just said, what if I just had fun? Just something that I just wouldn't do. And a couple of my records, I did that to prove a point. I mean, I literally, like we're talking here, told Sable Jeffries, who did Love So Special.
Rest in peace. Love her.
I was riding in the car with her and literally said, I want to have a fun record. I want to just do something dumb. I just want to go like dum dum, dum dum, on a record. And she said, that was dope. I said, I'm doing that shit tonight. Did it the next day.
One of the biggest records you did.
I just literally was like, I want to do the dumbest record ever. And it's called Dumb. And it's still here. Still gets licensed. Still gets played. And I said, see, there's the point.
How
People
stupid! See how stupid that is, everyone.
fun.
See how dumb
Well,
that
it's
is.
still about having fun. It's still, you know, some records evoke different emotions, right? Emotions are like the rainbow, have different colors, different moods, different attitudes. And I'm not monolithic. I'm angry,
Right.
I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm funky, I'm happy, I want to dance, I want to chill. And we make music for
Yeah.
all of that. Whatever mood I'm in, I make music for.
I did a song called Three Whack Tracks. It was a diss where a song was on there, I fall in and I can't get up. Of course, there was a TV show. I recorded off the TV show, and I
Commercial, yeah.
out of it. I was so embarrassed that I was having so much fun. I didn't put my name on the record. It was called "But Guess Who?" But everybody knew it was me. It got so big that the lady herself and her representative called me because they wanted me to perform the record at her party. And I said, I didn't mean all this. I mean, I looked at it on the news and they were like, it's a disco record now. I'm like, holy shit. Now that was good, but I just was going to have fun. So,
Okay, a couple of questions I have. Demographic of Franklin Township, right?
Yep.
From high school, you're in the band. When do you officially go from the band to start going into the music industry?
Reggie.
Oh, you're gonna love this one.
So you got to tell me the demographic first. Is it mostly Black Franklin Township?
It's a good, healthy balance.
Because I thought that area had split Latino, white.
It is.
So
it
the high
back
school,
in my day, yeah, back in when we attended, it was a healthy balance of both because you had you would have the kids maybe what do they call that? I don't want to say ghetto because they weren't ghetto. They just maybe wasn't in the affluent part of town, but they were all we all got along because that didn't matter to us. I literally knew kids who had dirt floors and it just didn't matter to me. We all got along on a merit of who we were. If you were a dick, we treated you like that. It doesn't matter. I mean, we were all broke. We're kids. I don't own the house I live in. I'm not disillusioned for that. That's not my bike. I didn't get that. My dad gave it to me, right? So we all knew, like, listen, you could live over there, but that's your father's house. Stop fucking around, right? So as we grew up, we were just kids and we knew it. And we got along, but you know, the world kind of gets a hold of you going towards 12th grade. You start to figure out that, you know, maybe there's some things that you want to do. Some kids want to go to college, some want to go to the military, some want to be cops and robbers or whatever the case may be. So you start to divide yourself up as you get out of high school and stuff. So Ronald was Ronald can tell you what Ronald was doing, but me, I thought I wanted to be in like believe it or not, I had no idea what a audio engineer was. And I thought it was electronic engineer. So I enrolled in DeVry Tech when it was a tech, thinking that was going to be audio engineer, but it was electronic engineer. So I immediately was like, all right, so I fucked up. But, you know, I kind of dropped out of that because I realized that like it was good, but it just wasn't good for me. It wasn't that, you know, I felt like it wasn't valuable. Of course it was, but it just wasn't for me. And I realized that a couple trimesters in, and then I started doing like a little bit of security. But again, the band and the music thing kept going. So it really didn't matter what I was doing for a living. I still was just trying to figure it out, right? And then I guess Ronald could tell you up to that point what he was doing.
At that point, while he was at DeVry, I had gotten enrolled in the New Jersey State Police Academy. So I was going to be a trooper. And I was there, and I would come home on weekends, and he'd tell me stories of what happened to him all week. And one week, he told me that he met some management for our music, and I was like, "What is that? What did he do?" I mean, I had no idea about the record industry, absolutely none. And so he told me what they do and what they said they could do. And I said, "Well, how did they hear us?" And I'll hand it back to Reggie so he can tell you how they heard us.
So, well, in the interim, we were also doing martial arts. So I want to say that was the biggest part of our lives was the martial arts thing. I can't hear you. You got your... Yeah.
Sorry, because I forgot to mute this on. What kind of martial arts do you both study?
Well, we both studied Wushu, or what it was called in is Wu Chun Su, and the Chun is the accolade to our grandmaster, which is Alan Chun Lee in New York, Manhattan Kung Fu. So he calls it Kung Fu Wusu, but my teacher called it Wu Chun Su. Okay, that's a mostly northern, but it's an amalgamation of northern and southern styles, but mostly Northern Chinese martial art, and it's called Wu Chun Su or Wusu.
Okay, so while you're going to Vry and this
Mhm.
police thing is going on, you've
Mhm.
been up some management. Who's the management that stepped
All
to you?
right, so interesting story. Okay, through high school, I don't know what Ronald was doing. You have to ask him about that. But what I was doing is there was a good friend of mine named T-Ski. His name's Tim Dalbachuk, white guy. Right. So what I talked about affluent side and kind of moderate side, we were in the moderate side. It wasn't down the hill, but I was kind of in the middle. Right. He wanted to be an engineer DJ. So his parents could afford some of the upper, he had the 1200s and stuff like that, but he didn't know how to make music. He knew me and my brother did. So he invited me to come to his house so he can engineer some stuff. Right. He had records. He had so everything I needed to make a better production, he had. So it's kind of symbiotic. That I would. He worked at a grocery store, Pathmark, after school. So he said, "I can get you a job there, so we could make some money, come back to my house while you're waiting for your dad to pick you up. We can make music." And I'm like, that works out perfectly, right? So I would go to work for a couple hours. We walk back to his house. And then he'd fire up the equipment. He would teach me how to cut and scratch a little bit. So I've been DJing that long, just DJing stuff. Matter of fact, my DJ name was, don't laugh, this is the first time I'm saying this out loud, RB Spin Lord. RB Spin Lord.
Wait, let's say that again.
Say it right. Say it right.
Spin Lord.
RB Spin Lord. Right, because you had the Grand Wizard this and Grand Master this,
DJ
and I was
Flowers.
I was RB. It had to be bigger than what you ever like. I'm RB Spin
Mr.
Lord.
Magic, Rap Attack.
Yeah. You had to dream big, right? So I'm RB Spin Lord, right, for like a week, until he got on the turntables and he was like, I was like, oh, I ain't RB shit Lord, right? Like, I ain't doing nothing. so that was it with that one. But he had drum machines and all kinds of stuff. So I would teach him kind of the way to put together a record from learning in the spirit band is what we were called. And we, so I kind of knew how to do the drum beat of the day and the Lin drum, and he had all this stuff. So I would record and he would put it on cassette. And he's the guy that had the super big box, the boom box, because he could afford it. I mean, I wasn't running around with no $300 radio. So he had the one with the turntable in it. He had the 4 cassette decks, the with the lights and shit in it. So he would go record shopping. And what he did is he had one of our cassettes that we made blaring as he walked into the store, just ignorant as hell, right? This white guy, he was dope. So he was like, fuck all y'all, right? He walked into Plainfield. Just ignorant as shit. Because DJs, their deck was the record that you don't got.
That's right.
That's what it used to be. It's like, fuck all y'all. I got this, and you don't even know what this is.
Damn, you don't have it. You
don't even know what this is, right? So he came into the store blaring something that we made, and I think it's Randy or maybe the other guy, Mike or so.
England.
Who? No, it wasn't there. No, he was in Plainfield. No.
Okay.
So he got their attention, and Karen Khan was she was doing marketing for I think 4th Floor or one of the so she was the marketing calling around the stores to figure out how their record was doing. They had a record called Stimulation. So she was calling them to see, because Stimulation was from Plainfield, New Jersey. So she was calling to see how they're doing in the store. So she was on the phone with him, and when he walks through the door, it's like, and they're like, what the fuck? She's a marketer. I'm supposed to know what's in the field, because it wasn't a lot of house music. So when she heard it through the phone, she was like, I don't know what that is. And so he was like, yo, what is that? And he was like, oh, it's my friend, Reggie, Reggie. And he's like, she wants to talk to you on the phone. So he came up to the phone. She said, who is that? He said, my friend, Reggie Burrell. And he said, here, take his number, call him. So when he got back with me, he was like, somebody's going to call you. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So she called and she said, I'm a music marketer. I was on the phone. I heard you make some music. Would you mind if me and my fiance or boyfriend come out and see you? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be home. All right, whatever. So they came out. Frank and her came out to Jersey from Queens, came all the way out there to come see me. And then it's like, all right, so can you play us something? So I played him some things. And luckily, like I said, with him, he had a better production. I had some stuff at the house, cassette to cassette type stuff. But I played him about 20 tracks. Just tracks, some singing, some not, some solo and whatever. just stuff I was having fun with. And she's like, "Do you think you can do this in New York at the studio?" And I'm like, "Well, I go to the studio here in Woodbridge, so I'm at least familiar with how this goes." So I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And she's like, "All right, great. So like this weekend, you think you can come out to 38th Street?" They gave me the address. It was Calliope Studio. So I said, "Yeah, no problem. Who paying?" And she said, no, we got it. I was like, "All right, cool." So when they had one leg in the car. I think Frank was already in the car. Karen was like one leg in the car. And I said, "Hey, can I bring my brother?" And they was like, "You have a brother?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, he's my twin brother." And it was like, so she eased back out the car. I see Frank easing back out the car. Said, "Well, what does he do?" I said, "He does what I do, but better." And she's like, "Say what?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean,
What do you
plays
mean?
keyboard."
What do you mean better? They said, right?
Meaning Ronald's production, to me, especially at that time, would be better because he's more of a keyboard player than me at that time. So I'm thinking I'm playing music and stuff, and I got a little Jack Your Body and little stuff like that going on, but it's nothing that I think has a significant production value like Ronald's would. So I said, whatever I'm doing, he's going to do better than me, right? That in my mind, I already know that, right? So I said, no, he does what I do. And he said, he looks like you. I said, no, he looks exactly like me. He's my identical twin, but he plays. And again, my singing, because of being a front man in the band, that's what I would hang my hat on at the day, was that I'm going to sing my face off. The production to be, but I'm gonna come up with a song. Ronald's thing was, he is the music. His music will speak to you, and he don't even need to do anything, right? So I'm like, that's what we're gonna get out of this, is that no, the music is gonna be crazy now. Let him come, is on, right? So they were like, yeah, bring him too, right?
What year was this when this all transpired? They came out to you.
80 could have been the beginning of 87.
Because the reason why I'm asking is because house music was just starting.
Yeah, it was.
Out.
Well, shout out to Vernon Freeland. Shout out to Vernon Freeland, Timmy Regisford, and all the cats on the radio.
But I know you can't really talk about them yet because we're talking about.
Well, I can, because Vernon Freeland used to spin at Rutgers University. They called it the pub on Thursday nights, and that was our lesson. I didn't know it at the time.
So you were going there hanging out?
Well, no, not hanging out. We taught Kung Fu at Rutgers University on Thursday. And after we get finished at like 10 o'clock, the pub opened. So we would go from teaching Kung Fu over to the pub to the girls, because that's where they would be.
See, something has to draw you like a magnet. Magnet.
So that was the cotter pin of why we got into house music, because it was available. It was right at our fingers. It was a party in the next room. They would turn the cafeteria into.
At that time was fresh. The music was fresh. It was new.
Yeah, right. So
Jack your body. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
And not only that, girls working, everybody's on the floor, baby powder, craziness. And Vernon Freeland introduced us to the possibilities of what dance music could be, not just house music, because he was playing Russ Find a Way, right? He's playing
Find a Way, that 2 days.
He's playing that. Now, who would think that record would rock that hard? If you was listening to it at your house, you'd be like, this sounds like shit. But out in the club and watching people dance to it is different. And especially if you know how to freak it right with that break, that doom, 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 and then you build it up, then you break it back up. I mean, it's crazy. He worked it. He gave me a lesson on how this shit could work, right? With all the different things, especially touch and go and all the classics and all that. He mixed it in with some of the Chicago tracks, like Hercules and all the rest of that. He really was a little Timmy Regisford, if you will. That was sort of like who he patterned himself after. I didn't know who Timmy Regisford was because I didn't listen to the radio that much. Not yet. But I knew who Vernon Freeland was. He was the road DJ for WBLS.
So Reggie, you leave Frank and Karen. You pick that phone up and you call your brother, right?
Right. Yep.
Well, let Ronald tell the story from this part. So the phone rings.
As I was in my state police uniform at my girlfriend's house, whose father was the lieutenant detective, who I knocked out the boxing instructor at the academy in front of him. Beautiful moment, by the way.
Beautiful.
She'd always been telling him, he a bad motherfucker. He bad. No, dad, he bad. You know, and a girlfriend bragging to her father about how macho her boyfriend is. He's like, yeah, and he got a gun on and this fucking state police shit and whatever. We go to the academy. We go to the box and they save the biggest, dopest dude for me. I knock him out right in front of my father. So, okay, I had a great moment. Reggie calls me and goes, you know, these music people want to see us. And I'm like right in the middle of, 2 months from graduation. He's talking about music and they can get us here and this and that. Music has always been in my soul. I asked my girlfriend's father at the time. She actually rose to become the highest ranking black female in state police. She's like almost a superintendent.
She was a joint chief of staff. She was joint chief
of staff. So she just retired. But anyway, he said this, and I asked her father, "What do you think I should do?" Because like I got to make a decision. Like we're really close to doing something. And he said, "You will never be rich riding up and down the parkway in a troop car." And I said, "Well," he said, "You go for your dream. We'll always be here." He said, if you are who you are, you'll always get back. Trust me, because you dope. And I said, okay, I'll try it. And I went for it. And and then right after that, we didn't even get finished making the demo. We made like 2 demos. Timmy Registered heard it, got in contact with Mick Clark. And from 10, they signed us on the spot, 10 albums. We couldn't even finish the demo. We went right from doing 1 song to finishing 10 songs. With an album budget, publishing, everything.
Yeah. So it happened so fast, like I can't even really remember how fast.
Year to September, we were out on Virgin.
Yeah. So when I met him in 87, maybe mid 87, and by the time 88 came around, at the top of 88.
We lost you for a minute. Go ahead.
At the top of 88, the album came out in 88. We were signed. I believe I have it in my notes somewhere. I had a book where I was keeping a journal and shit. In September, we were shooting album cover in September.
So let me make sure we have the timeline right. Timmy Registered, Mick Clark, they signed you before the NuGroove thing happens, right?
Oh yeah.
Make sure that's clear. Let's get that clear.
Yeah.
Well,
the only
Virgin,
right?
When we went to Virgin and we put out that first album, we got a lot of shine, like on the R&B side. They didn't know where to program us on the radio station. And on the dance side, people were just getting used to house music, but they liked it. So I thought that the second half would have been a little better, but we both learned a lesson. We should have just gave them what they wanted and kept doing what we were doing. But we were a little pig-headed and was like, we want to make this kind of album. We wanted to go deeper into house music. They wouldn't let us. They wanted another kind of R&B dance album. So we said, well, we're not giving it to you. And that's when we made the decision to take the budget and start NuGroove. We want to do what we want to do. I want to go deeper into house. They don't want us to go that deep. So we took our money. Frank said, well, I know how to make records. She said, well, I know how to report on the radio. Let's make some records. So the first record was, what was your first record?
I'm trying to think of it. But I remember doing it.
While you're thinking about it, let me just ask this question. And let me make sure this is clear for everybody. People out there, just pay attention. These guys were the first to have an album out as a male group on a major label in house music.
Yeah, you still don't get it. When we did Jack the Rapper at big concerts, they picked me and Reggie to represent Virgin Records rather than Paul Abdul. Rather than some of the bigger people they had, they thought we were going to be bigger than all of them.
Ronald,
turn your mic down a little bit, Ronald.
Turn your mic down because you're getting excited and starting to get serious now. We need to get. I know what Jack the Rapper is. That was a big convention, but can you tell some of the younger folks, because that hasn't been around a long time, what Jack the Rapper really was?
Was every Black person and Latino person in America meeting in Atlanta to showcase what's coming up next in urban
industry. Yeah.
In the industry. And they would have sometimes some of the biggest performers perform at that. Every label had to decide who's going to perform for them. We had Guy, we had New Edition, Boys the Men. Instead of Paul Abdul, they picked me and Reggie They pay, you know, so it was like a big free concert, but you had to buy tickets. It was a convention, had its own magazine. It was on the radio all over the place. So it was a huge industry deal.
So if you locked in Jack the Rapper, if you were this shit at Jack the Rapper,
you were picked. You were supposed to be the golden boy. Sort of like how Double XL magazine puts their freshman class. When they pick their freshman class, it's saying you supposed to be who we think you are, right? So you know, it was both. We always had a habit of concentrating on the music, right? So a lot of things went over, under, around us, right? Sort of like the deal what Ronald just admitted to. Like, we should have rocked with it and kind of did what we were doing, kind of walked and chewed gum. But we were always, you know, again, my focus is always maybe just martial art focus, that I'm like, I'm not going to shortchange anything. Well, what we should have been doing is developing two skills, right? You know, both things, which we ultimately ended up doing, because we'll get to it. But what happened was, when we parted with Virgin, and again, I have nothing but awesome memories of all of it. I wish I would have smelled the roses a little more, right? But what we ended up doing is with that, another door opened. They say when one closes, one opens. That opened up NuGroove. So without being frustrated with Virgin, wouldn't have been a NuGroove, right? So
because you had Frank Mendez and Karen right there in the background, regardless of what was going on. You were right there on the sidelines, right?
Yep. So when we were, I guess we were like a week off of Virgin, like it was just final. We were done with it. They came, Karen, I remember she kind of whispered it to me. I don't think she thought I would be up for it, or I don't know. She seemed a little hesitant, but she's like, how would you guys like a label? And I was like, yeah, I mean, we got a lot of shit. I mean, we got a lot of stuff. So that's, of course, you know, an outlet. And she's like, and she came back, you know, and I was like, yeah. So that was the conversation. You like a label? Yeah. And that was it.
But before we get to that label, how did the album do on Virgin overall?
We got,
I think it was
Budweiser tour, Miller Sound Express tour. We went to played the Hippodrome in London a few times. You know, we did okay. I think the better, because the world was used to it a little more.
Yeah, I think, and, you know, we've been accused of being a little bit ahead of our time, and I don't say that with arrogance. I say that because we're forward thinking, right? I like to make things that aren't here, right? I'm not the kind of producer that wants to do.
In America, Chicago House got more love in the northern of the UK than it did in America.
Yeah, right.
And that's the first.
So if you guys are in Rutgers hearing this music, Jackie Body, all that stuff, Marshall Jefferson, all that stuff is coming out. Of course, it's making your, you know, endorphin levels go. Okay, I'm going to make this kind. I'm going to do our version of Jackie.
That's right.
Our version of Hercules. Our version of I'll Be Your Friend. Whatever the records are at the time. Right?
That's it.
So here you go. You hand them off. Right. You hand them off, and then you're expecting. Does American radio understand this?
By and large, no.
No.
Remember, Timmy and them was doing mix shows at night. They understood that. You know, Timmy would play the hell out of all of our supporters.
Tony Humphreys,
all of them,
Bob,
all of them.
Timmy Regisford,
all of them. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, that's what the market was. So I was okay with that. If they played it, and I go to the clubs and they're playing it, and the people that I respect, you know, like come up to NuGroove and go, I like this record, that record, that I knew our corner of the universe, we were relevant in.
Right? You had Junior Vasquez playing at Sound Factory. Any of those guys touching your records, you knew.
I knew it, and that was
and even bigger than that. Some of them actually were volunteering to be on them. One of my records, I Say a Prayer for You, Bobby Condas engineered it, and I didn't even know. He they got the masters and he redid it and put it up. I said, why does this record sound so good? He said, Bobby re-put it back up. He wanted to engineer it. I was like, oh, thanks, Bob.
Ronald, why is your mic still distorted?
Because he needs somebody to engineer. He needs somebody to engineer that mic.
You see me now?
It still sounds distorted. I don't know where it's distorted.
It's too loud.
Yeah, but why don't you have volume though? Can you kick it up from over there, Lenny? Without him kicking it from?
That's on his side.
Right.
from my side. I didn't have a chance to do my mic. Hold on.
We need to get that
Yeah.
mic right.
Yeah, but yeah, get it straight around because it's distorting somewhere. I don't know if it's at the mic or it's at the
at the just a little bit more. A little bit more, and not too much more.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's cool. You're good.
Perfect.
All right. So, I mean, I don't want to skip any steps since we're both sitting here. So we go from Virgin, and again, one of the best lessons that I could learn about Virgin is actually the political game. If I can speak to that a little bit. Like any other job and like anything else, there are people who fuck with each other and there are people who don't. And I'm not going to get into besmirch anything, but UK and Virgin America was sort of at competition, if you will, and it just wasn't going to work from the door. And I'll say that that was verbatim from an executive that we don't really get it. You didn't sign here, so it's coming in as an import. Let them fucking worry about it. And
so they played it off as it's an American thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's okay, because again, we learned a hard lesson again. And one of the records that we wrote is called "Put Your Trust in the Music," and I stand behind that.
That's a
as long as I got Ronald making music and I got me making music. You know what? You could keep throwing shit at me all damn day. I come to my studio and I make more records. That's what keeps me and Ronald alive is the music. Whether or not you like the other executives or the trade lines, or I don't give a fuck what you guys are doing because everybody comes after what we do, right? You can't sell music if you don't have music, right? So we make the music. Let's all the artists out there that make music understand that they're selling music. So you're the first and last thing in this piece, right? So that made me understand that.
Calling card is always the music because
it's always the music. It's always the music. It's always the music. And even when you have deals, if they didn't work out, I bet it's not because of the music. I bet 99% is that the people didn't get along. It's not that the song was hot yesterday and it's not hot now. It's not that. It's somebody in there, management, artist, somebody's fucking up, and it's always people. So that's what it was at Virgin, was a people thing. And I learned that, which only inspired me to do my own label, because the only people I got to fuck with is me and Ronald. And that led to Frank saying, we're going to find out how hot you are because I'm not getting away no more. We just went through it together. People shit. He's like, I'm not going to be the person to tell you if this is hot or not. And that's what we learned, honestly, and I think maybe even subconsciously, that's what we learned from Virgin, is that just let the music speak. Let the music speak. Because everybody else got opinions, and fuck all y'all opinions. Put the music out and let
it tell the story.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell the story real quick. Bon Noir. I was doing Bon Noir. I was doing the track in the basement. Reggie comes running downstairs and goes, "What the hell is that?" And I go, "I don't know. It's just a badass fucking jam." My mother, who never says anything, comes downstairs and goes, "That sounds great." I said, "Oh boy." It's starting to scare me now. So I tell my girlfriend at the time, I'm looking for somebody to sing this record. She goes, "I know 2 girls that is great. They'll sing this record great." And I go, "Yeah, I hear that all the time." They bring these 2 girls in. I think they're at the time 13, 15.
Yeah.
They were singing on the way down the stairs to the basement. I was like, that's a good sign. They looked great. I had all the style in the world. I said, fine. Just freestyle something. They started and they made some record that I was like, this is going to work. I'll call you Tuesday. I made this song, My Love is Magic, and I put a lot into it. Pianos. This is the musicology he was talking about. Pianos for days, strings, African percussion, real live this, live that. Killed it. And I'm going to mention his name because he said it and it's real. Timmy Regisford said to me, "You should change the bass line. I don't like that bass line." And I said, "No, I'm not." One of my biggest supporters. I said, "No, that's the way I feel it. It's going out like that." So the girls came and they sang it. Went through, they sang it. We did. I said, the background's going to be Manhattan Transfer. They're going to be jazzy like this. We're going to do some gospel shit in there. I mean, I put my ass into that record. All kinds of Stevie Wonder soaring keyboards and shit. Went out. Everybody was like, "You really did you? This is a real record." And I said, "Yeah, this is what I want to do. My first production ever on anybody else." So I gave it to Karen. I said, "This is it." She In 2 weeks, that was the #1 record on BLS and Kiss. And I said, "Tell me, sir, I should still change the bass line?" And he laughed.
Change the bass line?
Should
I still go change the bass line?
I can see him laughing.
Let's change the bass line, right? And
Wait,
then they got signed to Virgin.
Wait, can I show the picture of where these masterpieces were made?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There
it is.
Exactly it.
There it is.
The unfinished basement next to the main sewer line. Look, everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
I remember sometimes we had to stop recording vocals because the sub pump would kick on.
Right here, 2 blown speakers, which Reggie got fixed.
Yep.
He works with them right now, right?
Yep.
You got them fixed, right?
They're right behind me. Yep.
Yeah.
Hang on. And what board we have there? What was the concept?
That was a Yamaha. Was that a Yamaha?
Tascam 16.
Tascam. You're right.
Tascam.
Tascam. So it was the Tascam. 32,
Yes,
I think.
Juno,
32, 8 or some shit. Yeah.
Juno.
So you want to talk about keeping it underground, people? Look how underground this is.
Oh, we're literally underground.
When the speakers blown,
no padding on the walls.
we kept the speakers blown because if you got the mix right on blown speakers, the fucking shit is right.
Yeah, we were scared to fix the speakers. So we had a bass cabinet. Yeah, I'm like, no.
If it's broken, don't fix it.
Right, leave it alone.
If it ain't like they say, if it's fixed, don't break it. No, if it's broken, don't fix it.
No. Because what happened is
when you hear
whatever
the
acoustics,
that broken speaker is right.
Yeah. When it started to be too much, you know, it's too much.
Yo, the tap, right there it is. Mm-hmm. There it is.
Yep. It somehow we tuned our ear to the broken speaker. So I'm like, most of the time those speakers stay blown. And the mixes that came out of those speakers were just right. We were like, I don't know how it's happening, but I'm not gonna fuck with it. I'm not.
So
and it just came out.
Basna this is them, right?
That's them. Yep.
Yeah.
What was it name?
I put his My Love Is Magic out. Did wonderfully. Then they go, could you do it again? I'm like, I've been doing it all this time. I don't see why not. I got to do what my brother just said. Trust in the music. I'm not going to let this shock me. I'm going to keep doing what I do. So I did it. They didn't want to do the song, by the way. Yeah. I had a demo girl sing the song for them. They said, no, we want to be harder like Jamanda or a diva. And I said, that's not you. That's them. We have a diva in Jamanda. I don't need another one of them. I need a Benoit. So they acquiesced. They came in, did the record with attitude. That's probably why the attitude on the record is so dope, because they actually had one. And they left. I did it in D&D. And by the time they got home, and by the end of the week, it was the #1 most requested record in New York and New Jersey again. And I said,
My love is magic.
Was right, yes, or was I, you know?
And you know, just because I'm more of a fan than in the production company. When you hear stuff on the radio, it still hits a little different than you hearing it in your studio.
1000%.
Right. So I
like
completely got it.
Humbles,
when I heard
right?
it come over the radio. It was both in context and out of context, if that makes any sense. In context is when you're playing all your shit and it all just sounds great in your studio. Out of context is when they play the Kashif record and then they play your record. Then you go, okay, now I get to see what the hell I just did. And when that, I was like, this don't sound like shit else I ever heard. I've been listening to it for a couple weeks now, but when out of context on the radio, I was like, I see why people
after a Freddie Jackson record, then they put it I'm Glad You Came to Me. You go, oh.
You hear that, I'm glad you came to me. I'm like, what in the fuck is that? And then I'm glad.
Now check this out.
I'm like,
check this out.
Shit.
So other DJs, producers, and remixers now know that BLS is on rotation with your record. Watch what happens. Everybody starts listening to start ripping the record apart to figure out how they can make their records sound like your records.
Wait, hold on. Can I give you a story that you want true stories, right?
Go ahead.
This is kind of off the thing, but it's to your point. I was doing hip hop as well, right? We were remixing stuff, and and just I had hip hop groups that you couldn't grow up in New York without understanding hip hop too, right? So we would go to these parties at the Tunnel and everything like that. And there was this one guy, and I don't think he knows this. I'm gonna tell you his name, but I don't think he knows this. He used to come up to me in different clubs and point out shit that only producers would point out. like My Love Is Magic. I'm glad you came to me. At the end, Ronald does this drum roll, and then it comes in with other percussion that only somebody at that would. You're 4 minutes into the record that you really listened and took note. So he point out stuff like that in all our records. Like, yeah, that half step at like 306, and I'm like, whoever you are, you're really listening. You're just
Wow,
not
he
a
knows the
fan. Like,
modulation, everything.
yeah, he's good. But I
Wow.
was at the tunnel one time, and I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm sort of embarrassed to ask him his name because I should know by now. But I'm like, hopefully somebody come up to him and say, hey, his name or something. So, but I'm talking to him, and we were there for Slick Rick's birthday party. The DJ says, we got DJ Clark Kent in the house, and they swing the fucking light around to me and him. And I was like, oh shit, that's DJ Clark. So to your point, he's one of the biggest, most revered hip hop DJs in the world with that world supremacy thing that he
Yeah.
He knows our records inside out.
And
That's
getting
when
inspired.
Getting
inspired.
That's when I fell in love with him as a person. I'm like, there's no way somebody that big and famous and that, if you know Clark, he's got an ego and it's well deserved, right? He's the motherfucker. And he I ain't gonna say humbled himself, but he knows music. He trusts the music. He wasn't talking about me, he was talking about our records. And when I saw him say that, I was like, you know what? I love the music, and he loves the music. It ain't really about me, it's about the record. And to your point, when that shit came out, people were paying attention to the records. And that's all I ever wanted. I didn't care if anybody was like, oh, Burrell Brothers, that, fuck all that.
No, because we all did that, brothers. I mean, we were listening not just as DJs, but we were ripping the record apart to go, why is it working?
One of the things that I loved, and maybe I loved it a little too much, was when Frank would come back from putting his records in the stores, when he told us DJs was just buying the records because they said NuGroove.
Right.
That made me proud, because I said they don't know me. I have no brownie points.
Right.
They're buying it strictly because of the quality of the music we're putting out.
That's right. And that's a badge of honor to me. It's like I could be standing right next to you and you wouldn't fucking know that this whole rack is mine. And I'd be there, and then people are like, oh, give me the NuGroove gun. I watch people buy it. They don't even know.
Why? Because you had Aphrodisiac, House and Authority. Each name, you had different pseudo names for your pseudo groups that didn't exist.
Right.
It's the Burrell brothers behind the scenes.
To push you further away from me, to make you listen
and more to the music.
Why though?
I don't want to put my name. I want you to listen to
because again, one of the best records we made was Put Your Trust in the Music. I want you to be pure in your opinion of what you're listening to. Like if you're like me, you're like, oh, it's Reggie. Oh, I'm gonna buy it's Reggie. Like how many times we look at me like, oh, that's that Tony Albrecht. And I don't know. Do you think you would love it if you didn't know Tony? Would you love it if you didn't know me? It's the music that I'm interested in you liking, because that's what I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for, like Ronald said, brownie points. Like if I give you high five and hand you money and we're all chummy drinking at the bar and then I put a record out, you're more likely to lean towards the record because Reggie, that's my dude. That's my dude. We high five all the time. I promise you, that's not how I listen to records. You could be an asshole, but if you make a good record, I'm gonna be like, that record's still dope. I hate them, but that record's bad because I'm talking about the music.
I believe the same way. The record has to win, not the person.
It has to, right. And that's what we ensured, because it don't have Reggie Burrell on the front. It has some shit that I don't even know what the fuck it is. I just said New York Housing Authority, and it's written by me. You got to do that kind of, to get your royalties and whatever you're doing. But if you bother to read the record, then you find out everything by Reggie, everything by Ronald, produced, written by we read labels, we do. The people that do, and the people that just want to dance and have a good time. I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about what comes out the speakers, because that's how I enjoy music. It's what's coming out of the speakers. Now I will say, okay, that's a Stevie Wonder record, but you know how many records that you hear and you be like, what the fuck is that? And then you find out who it is, and you're like, okay, good, great. Who's Herbie Hancock? I thought it was you. That record. I don't give a fuck who made that record. That's just a badass record.
Odysseys, who made Native New Yorker. You know, Native New
Yeah,
Yorker.
Odyssey. Yeah, Odyssey.
Yeah, they made Zip It Up My Boots or something like that. Wasn't that?
Yeah, they did that. Yeah,
I was like, whoa.
that was well. There's a couple different versions. There's a couple versions.
Yeah, but I never even thought they would think
they would do some shit like that, right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I love when I get surprised.
Yeah, because it's always about the music. I always put the music.
Always about the music.
All right, so now you fellas leave Virgin. You start with Frank Mendez, and you make Camp.
And every record we putting out, DJs are loving it. I think they love the freedom. I mean, you just don't know what's coming. Anything could just come at you. And I was like, this is the way
Ronald,
music should be. It should be.
On top of that, that's why we attracted the people that we attracted up to NuGroove, because they heard that. And Frank said it in an interview too. He's like, we don't have like this stylist thing we're trying to do. It's if he puts it in his Jeep, if he likes it, he makes his decision and it comes out. So, you know, with the Bobby Condors, with Massive B was Caribbean stuff, and great. Masters at Work, you know, they put their records out with NuGroove first. And they had, so I don't know if it was exactly first, but you know, at the beginnings of their career, their illustrious career. And I'm proud to say that, you know, that we had a lot of, you know, people.
Basement Boys.
Yeah.
Nick Jones.
Masters at Work.
Lenny D. Yeah, all of them. Yeah, all of them. All of them. It's just too many to name. But
Asia Love. It was Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Asia too. Mm-hmm. Asia.
So we attracted people who didn't want to be constrained by this conventional way of doing records, right? If you like it, fucking put it out and let the people.
Ronald, Rheji. Mm-hmm. So if I brought a demo up to NuGroove, okay, what was the pecking order that went down? So I leave the cassette. Frank. That's it? Frank.
You leave it. You don't play it. You don't leave it. You don't listen to music during business hours. He would take your cassette or whatever it is. He'd get in his Montero and he'd play it on the way to Queens. If it moved him, you put it out. Whatever your deal was. I don't know if he gave it dancers or nothing like that. I don't know what he did.
What was Frank's background before NuGroove? Do you know?
Badass motherfucker.
He just, I think he just either worked at Green Sleeves.
Just a badass motherfucker. He worked at Green Sleeves and a couple other distribution manufacturing places.
He was floating around with this music thing for a while, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you trusted his. So did you have that trust in him with his ears, or did you feel
trust is a funny word.
Or should I say trust? Well, I don't know how you want to put it. Do you feel like you lent enough to him?
He did his job. He put out records with everybody else.
I love that he stayed out the way.
Yeah, he did his job. He said that I'm going to put records out. His job was vinyl and putting it in stores. That's what he did without Rheji and Rhano. So I'm not asking a duck to do anything a duck doesn't do. He does, and I still hold that as one of my personal mantras. I don't ask my mechanic to fix my roof. He does what he wanted to do, regardless of whether it was a Rheji and Ronald. So when he says I'm going to put records out, that's what you do.
So when you guys started out, it was Frank and Karen in the office. Is that how?
Yeah. Yep.
And who did you feel more comfortable with, Karen dealing with or Frank?
We didn't really deal with any of them. We handed them records.
Yeah, I handed.
What do you mean you didn't deal with them?
You didn't have to deal with. I'm telling you, the process.
What was the pecking order? How's it roll?
The process was just like I'm doing right now. If they had a bigger platform than you right now, and we were doing this interview, and they said we can get it on ABC, I would take this platform, hand it to them, and say put it up, and they put it up.
We came in with a DAT.
So when I made
it to Frank,
I gave him a DAT, and he said it'll be out next week.
Right. I've seen him ship it over to Sterling or wherever he was mastering directly without listening to it. Like, is this it? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, cool. He get it to him. That's it.
So you'd have Herb. Wait, so you have Herb Up and Powers mastering it?
Yeah. Chris Garinger, Herb
Powers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were the same.
Yeah, we had the machine, boy. We had it.
Yeah.
We had that machine.
Was there any contractual stuff going on?
No. That's where we can move forward today, because the gift he gave us was no contracts. So when
we don't understand that. Nobody gets that part.
You got to say that again slow. That came out.
Wait. Let me say that again. Nobody gets that part about no contracts. What do you mean no contracts?
Well, sometimes there's no contract.
Explain that process. Wait, we do the handshake? What was it?
No, it wasn't even a handshake. It was, here's the dat, put it out.
Check in hand?
Check next week.
Joe, you hand that.
Mm-hmm.
That's checks.
Check following week.
Correct. As much as I asked for.
So I would say the rudimentary understanding was we hand you a dat, you put it out, and you give us like a stipend if you called it that. So I don't know what else you want me to add to it.
I need $5,000. You give me $5,000.
So you say to them, I need 5,000 for this.
Yeah. No, not for this. Just $5,000.
5,000.
For whatever you want to put it down.
So what do you mean you got stipends? Were you partners?
Well, there were no. See, it wasn't this complicated relationship. It was really simple. And if I can be, maybe go down to street level with it.
Take it down the street, brother. Take it down.
Okay, think of it as a drug deal. Is it your business that you ask the drug dealer where he gets his shit from? That's how you get popped. My deal was we're dealing drugs, which are the records. He's the buyer. Buy them. Every time I come up here, you have a check for me. I have a dat for you. And that was great because it didn't have to get in deeper than that. I don't want to explain my records to you. I don't need you to explain me where you get the money from. I could give a fuck. I'm coming up there. I need $2,000. Great. What do you got? Did you guys do anything on the weekend? Sure do. Got it. I'll be up there in 10 minutes. Great. Here. And then I go do what I'm doing. He didn't ask me where I was going.
On the wall, we got them signed to a major label. And Merlin Bob told me how much they signed for. Hundreds of thousands. So whenever I ask for money, I always got money. No matter how much I ask for. Because literally we've put together probably $500,000 in their pocket.
That's what I was gonna ask you. So Frank and Karen licensed the record to Atlantic Merlin, right? Yes. Merlin Bob. So Merlin A&R's that record, takes Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they gave him $250,000 for the album, whatever, could have been $500,000. We don't even know. $375,000. In those days, the money was flowing around.
It was really good. Yep.
Yes, in those days,
as long as they gave me what I was happy doing it for.
So you weren't asking for where the hell's my 50% at the
No, I didn't do all
that. No.
You said I need 125 to finish it, and they go here.
I'm gonna swing my camera around to I guess this wall here. See those projects up there? That's SBK, that's Republic, that's another whatever. Yeah, so we were doing deals all over the world.
They handed him. Yeah. And like he would ask me for a record or two here and there, and I'm like, here you go. Yeah. And Bon the Wall, when we were doing the record, I was like, you got to put a record on there. Do whatever record you're gonna do. They gave him $5,000-6,000, and that's it.
And if they say that ignorance was bliss, it was blissful. Right, because we just didn't ask a lot of questions. I just knew that, where could you ask your rich uncle, I need $5,000? And he's like,
that's with the kind of money they were bringing in.
All right.
We didn't know that part of it.
You didn't know that part, right?
You were asking for less than what they were bringing in.
Well, that's what I want people to understand that. Because people don't understand. Yeah, you're getting a check. But how much were they bringing in hindsight? Correct. When you're looking at what were they
bringing? For the Burrell album,
I knew records, I was getting somewhere around 300,000 because that's what Merlin told me. So when I say I need 20 grand, there's no what it was here because I knew y'all made $30,000,
and we knew there was a certain amount of funding and backing that goes into pressing up records and putting them in the store. So it was and I hate saying this, but it's like, man, it was just hand in hand. You don't ask me shit, I don't ask you shit, and it's fucking working.
No lawyers were around you guys?
The only lawyer that was around us was for the Burrell thing, and that was a fiasco. But anyway, like I said, I trust the music, man.
Let's see, I want people to know that. Mm-hmm. You understand how clear?
We could have got royally fucked. We got fucked. But not royally fucked.
Well, the question is how much? Is there sand on it? Is it, how bad is the bleed?
It was almost making love.
It
was an anal, let's look like this.
A little too rough.
Anal retentive. A little anal retentive. Right. Anal retentive there for everybody.
Yeah.
They called me the wrong name.
It's like, the wrong name. Your thumb went up my butt a little, Like the shit that wasn't really all that enjoyable all the
See,
time.
that's what I want people to know because it's the music industry.
It is.
When
It's going to hurt a
people are
little
eating,
bit. It's
a
going
lot
to
of
hurt.
people are eating off what you do.
and it's called something that people forget. There's a word, business.
Right.
Because the fun part of you being loved, like Clark Kent said, that egotistical, crappy town you come from, right? I understand. We're not in that town no more.
That's right.
Now we're in the big city playing with the high rollers.
No, here's my first lesson. Somebody let it slip. Mick Clark. I'm going to tell him his name because he said it. We land in London for the photo shoot. When the 7s first came out, BMW 745s, big luxury car. He picked us up. And I said, man, this is a nice car. You know what he said?
You bought it. Yep. You bought it.
So what'd you do at that moment? Your mom?
Nothing. I didn't do the goddamn thing.
Because you bought mine too.
Yeah, you bought mine too. That worked out.
I said, you like my $5,000 custom mink? You bought that too.
Right.
No, we don't get me wrong. You got yours, but I got mine too.
Then when you put the record out, me and Ronald's doing 3 shows on a weekend for $7-8 grand a piece. I'm making $40 in a week.
I'm sorry, so
I'm all right. You win today, I win tomorrow. We're good.
But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen,
that's right, ladies and gentlemen,
because we didn't do contracts, which I thought to everybody thinks that's the wrong thing. Just like when they're selling your CD on the street, it is the wrong thing. But at the end of the day, if you own the rights to your music, you the one that keeps going. I'm telling you, I got deals on the table as we speak for records that I did 40 years ago. And they're going, can we put this out? And I'm going, there's nothing saying you can't. There's no contracts. And they're like, oh, well, we'll just do a compilation of that. How much you want? 30 grand. Of songs that I did back though in those days that weren't on NuGroove, but there's no contract. So now we do a nice little contract and get some more money for songs we got money for back then and been licensing all this time because there's nobody. The federal government says you have to sign those records over in writing, and if they can't show it, just like a court report,
because there's an assignment of copyright. It's an assignment of copyright. They don't get that assignment. It still
defaults to the creator.
It's still yours.
So if they call you, just let them know. Tell them to send you over the signed contract, and they're gonna go, well, and that's the last conversation you need to have with them.
Right, because they can't.
It doesn't
exist. You cannot do a
seemed like a dicking at first has now turned. And I'm in the back.
Now I'm in the back. It's no fun when the rabbit has the
gun, right?
Okay, so NuGroove takes off, and you guys do all these wonderful things. And I remember I used to go up there and pick up records from Judy Russell and all them. So let's talk about that. What happened there? Because there's a story that
know what? Hold on, Ronald. Let me give a disclaimer, waiver, apology. The truth is kind of ugly, and there are a couple of people who are not with us anymore. And I'm not going to even allude to anything to besmirch anyone. We are in the music industry. Some things are very tasteful. Some things are very tasteless. We were all young, and we all needed the money. It is what it is, and I'm gonna try to be as tasteful and tactful about it. But I wanted to know that it's all truth. Beyond fact. Facts can be disputed. I'm talking truth, right? So truth is Judy came to work with us. And Judy was my dude, right? Like not a dude, but she was the contact. I love seeing her bright smile. You know Judy. Anybody know Judy? She's just a ball of energy, ball of fun to be around. And it was a lot of fun. But there were some things that went on in the office that caused NuGroove to close. And I feel comfortable with saying that. I don't feel comfortable with saying what actually it was because I wasn't there. But I have a good idea, and you can there was some. Again, Frank had some challenges. Judy presented some challenges to Frank and Karen, and that ball of confusion was enough for Frank to throw his hands up in the air and say, "I quit." So I will just say on the day that he folded NuGroove, I came up there to get a check. The elevators opened. He handed me a check and said, "I'm done." I thought he meant he was going home for the rest of the day. He said, "No, it's over." And I was like, "What do you mean over?" He's like, "I'm closing NuGroove." I said, "For good?" He said, "For good. The elevator's closed." That was basically the last time I spoke with him. So the bomb blew up, if you will. So there was a bunch of, let's use the word fuckery. I think that's appropriate enough, and I think without again throwing people under the bus and getting crazy and and saying some things that I wish I wouldn't. I think you can draw some conclusions on Frank wasn't in the best state of mind. Judy had some things. They had some issues in the office, and it just was too heavy, too heavy. The personal outweighed the business end of it, and it just had to stop. It had to cease. So again, with being as respectful as I can, that's what I'm comfortable with saying about that. Now Ronald might go for it.
I want Ronald to tell us because Ronald's a straight shooter. Ronald doesn't. So Ronald, I know you're a business. You're about the business.
I like what Reggie said because again, there was love there. At one point, as love as industry can get, but sometimes people come from a place that you don't, and their honor system is not yours. And sometimes in the street you find out where you would have stayed and fought, your boy took off and ran.
So can I just pause you for a second?
Mm-hmm.
In the Italian mafia, we'll talk the mafia. One of the golden rules from the old regime was nobody plays around with each other's wives, otherwise it's death.
And that's why we're not the mafia anymore.
So NuGroove, I'm going to look at as a mob, and the old regime would have had you killed if you played around with one of the gut main guys.
Well, they did kill NuGroove, so
and that's
put it that way. That's what died.
So, in a nice way of putting it, in an hypocrisy, when you look at it, that line, that threshold line, crossed over,
and it just wasn't one line; it was maybe two or three at the same time. So, like in the mob, let's use the mob thing. You can't get high on your own supply.
Too. If you're caught selling, they said babanya, you killed for that too.
You wind up in the bay, right? So, what died as the result of a couple different, results of a couple different tragedies was NuGroove. NuGroove was had to go because that was the tie that bound.
Did you guys have any whiff of this, or you were just
no,
none of it,
none.
Again,
you would go in the office, drop dats, pick up checks, go back, party, do the studio thing at mom's, do whatever you were doing.
Yep.
I was just getting ready to have a son, and I don't think I told them yet that me and my girlfriend was having a son. I was on my way there to say, "Oh, I'm having a son too," because Karen and Frank just had a baby. So I was like, I was going to tell them I'm having a son. I'm on my way there. Karen calls me and goes, "Frank is going on vacation." I said, "What do you mean vacation? Like a month, two?" It's like, no.
What do you mean vacation? What do you mean permanent vacation?
Well, what do you think people mean when they say going? It's either jail or
that's how
I know. Well, I know what that means.
Well, see, we're fitness nuts, third degree black belts. So, I'm thinking
vacation. Where's he going? The islands?
Where's he going back to Cuba? He was Cuban. I'm like, wait,
what's he doing? What's he going? It's a political refugee.
No. Permanent vacation. He's got some things to fix. And then I was like, "What are you talking about, Karen?" He's like, "He's going to rehab." I was like,
"Oh,
okay." So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna keep going? And she's like, "No, I don't want this." And then anything else you need to talk to Judy. And I was like, "Oh,
ooh."
All right, so I'm on there. I need $15,000 right now to get through it. I'll be coming to get a check. They left a check for me, and I tried to talk to Judy about it. She's like, "I don't want to talk about it." And I did see Frank maybe 2 or 3 years later. He was very apologetic and everything. I said, "But that was scumbag move, how you just ran." But if you need to go to rehab and fix yourself, I don't know what it's like to be on that edge. So I'll reserve judgment. But he said, "I love you guys, and I wished we could have been different people doing this." And I said, "I wish we could have, but how about that NuGroove name and our masters?" He said, "You can use the name for whatever you want, and you can have your masters. I will not contest anything." And I said,
Did he tell you what kind of business he was in at this point?
Well, I got whiffs of it, but he never said it.
What was it? What did you find out through your connection?
Well, I've seen him rough some people up in the studio for no reason. Like we'd be at clubs and where's Frank? Oh, he's got somebody by his
hemmed
neck
up in a VIP.
32 out next to his head. I'm like, oh, that must have been a good ass record. You know,
you know what?
Some extra shit happening.
Although what happened, I still hold Frank in regard as one of the smartest.
Right.
One of the dogged. He would have made, I mean, he was a fantastic businessman in this part of he's going to get what he says done.
Well,
but
wait, Reggie, hang on, brother.
Track.
Reggie, hang on 1 second. Let me just say, this is, I know people we all know, like D Train, for example, James D Train. We talk about Prelude Records.
Another one of my musical heroes. Go ahead.
I was blessed to work with him. He's a fantastic, he's a great guy. And him and keyboard player, I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Eves.
Yeah, Eves the third. Yeah.
Right. Marvin Schlachter's office, they saw behind the chair a gold record for Keep On or You're the One for Me. And Marvin Schlachter had an Italian underboss working next to him, like an enforcer. You can't ask questions to Marvin Schlachter with an underboss working for you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So this is still the time when you guys was doing records where the regime of the Jewish and Italian mafia still controlled. And you know, and Frank was Cuban. So he opened up a little restaurant up the street, and they still, you know, you had to be in the dirt, right? So basically, what you're telling me is he had enforcement mentality.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. It was kind of dope when it works for you, but I'm sure it's not when it works against you.
But I was going to ask, what would it have been like for you if it didn't work for you?
Well, me and Ronald could get a little dirty too. So I think it was force would have met force. You know, me and Ronald both, and again, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but we both carry and we both third-degree black belts. I can tell you be dead before you hit the ground. So I'm not interested in that. So as long as we can just walk away.
See what I mean, everyone? That's serious there. There you go.
Yeah. You know, I don't believe Ronald. I've seen Ronald knock a couple people out in the street. And it's, you know, 1, 2, done. You know. So I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that I know the people that respect sharks.
But Reggie and Ron, you have to explain to everybody in those days it was rough in the game.
It was rough.
Please tell them. It's not like
and
now.
I don't know if you knew this, but I always had a 380 in my back.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, so I'm telling you, I always had a 380.
I saw you. We saw each other. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, no.
I wasn't going. Oh wow.
I'm in Orlando in a gated community, high price shit. Not far. I'm never far. We used to carry all the time.
Ronald would wear his $7,000 mink and driving a drop top Jag. They're not coming to play with him. You know, running around in the bottom of the bowels of New York. I got on a $2,000 custom made shearling. You think I'm gonna play with you? We go into the tunnel 3 o'clock in the morning, walk around
I know that area is rough at night.
Come on, man.
27th Street, 12th Avenue. I know.
So you remember walking up that street going to the tunnel at late at night? What that shit look like?
Remember, Ronald, our office is on 38th Street behind the post office.
Right.
That place is desolate.
The Paradise Garage, Varick and King Street at night was bad. At night.
Bad. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, and I say that I think, and I will hold everybody to that. I'm not saying me and Ronald special. I'm just saying the people I was around, the people I'm with, we could be goons if that's what we were doing. And that kept us. But that's what kept us all straight, is because we all respected each other in that regard.
It's not my love is magic all the time. There was a lot of ghetto stuff going on, some dark ghetto stuff.
Absolutely. And we were in the trenches.
It doesn't mean that you're going to be beating brothers down.
No.
But you had to be ready for what
you had to be ready to do to get yourself out of some situations
that's the story. Because remember, you got these chicks out there that got brothers that know you got money.
That's right.
People call the studio going, who in the studio?
Yeah, right. Who's there? Who's there?
Yeah. It'd be the reception at the studio calling the goons, be like, oh, guess what? They just rolled up. He got on $20,000 worth of jewelry.
And it's happened.
It's happened. I've seen a friend of mine get a $40,000. Right. Ronald, one of our friends, I won't mention his name, but he had a $40,000 Breitling on. Came up, took it right off him.
Where was this?
Chung King.
Oh, Chung King studio. Chung King. Yeah, Chung King.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Left me and Reggie alone. Went straight to him.
All right. Yep. So NuGroove goes completely
under in an hour.
Yeah.
What do you do? What's the story now?
I'll let me get this one. So
I love the story.
I wasn't worried at all. And that's just the fucked up part about it, is that I didn't give a shit. Because I'm like, if you want to do this to me, it's time to fucking swing back. It's always the music. You wasn't the music. Me and Ronald on. So I got Ronald. Ronald got me. That's all we ever had, if you really want to know. You're just a guy putting records out. Great. You know how many records we put out? We was dealing with City and all that. Atlantic. I could put, that's still me. Me and Ronald still the center of the Burrell universe. It's him and me. You didn't do shit, but step out of the center of the universe. That's on you. Great.
Well, they were the catalyst to get the records out, to just get people to see them.
No. We the catalyst.
Without the magic, they would be.
But I'm saying the manufacturing part.
I know what you're saying, but you know how many people would have took a Burrell record right there? They was holding us back. What I learned, they were turning deals down because they wanted the records on NuGroove. Remember, we put records out with Nervous. We have records out with Strictly. We have records out with everybody.
I know. I remember that.
Okay. What's the problem? You want to shut NuGroove? Shit, it's open season with Burrell Brothers. But here's what really happened. You remember a group called Phase 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vincent Herbert was the little guy singing lead.
Yes, I remember.
So he was making waves in the remix thing, whatever, with pop music, right? Yeah. High Five and okay.
Michael Jackson.
Roland Clark runs into him and he says, see, Vincent's doing well. He told me Vincent's doing well. I'm like, great for him. Fucking whoop-de-doo, right? Whatever. But he said,
it's not New Jersey, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, all right. But he said he's doing a lot of R&B shit, and Roland being close, he's like a brother to me. I mean, he actually lived at our house with us. He knew we did R&B. We came from R&B, so I always did R&B, even in the house music days. I'm still making R&B records. So I don't know what I'm doing with them, but I'm making them, right? So he said, you should show him your shit, and I was like, great, hook it up. So. He told him where we were going to be. Vincent swings by in his fucking 7 Series BMW. And I was like, oh, it's on. This little motherfucker, what is he, like 16? Driving an $80,000 car?
Right, that's all you had to see.
That's all I had to see. And he came in and he said, I got in this car. I popped in the cassette. I played him a couple things that he was doing. He was like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, nothing. I'm just going back to the house. He said, I got to do the Toni Braxton remix because he did How Many Ways for her. I want to do the remix down in Atlanta. I want you to do it with me. And I was like, great. So we went to my house. I put up whatever I had with me or whatever, grabbed the discs. Remember back in the day with the MPC, you had the discs and all types of DATs and shit. So I grabbed my sounds and discs and stuff. He's in the car waiting. We go directly to the airport. And 2 hours later, I'm sitting with L.A. Reid and Lococo Studio with Toni Braxton in the booth. This is a week after NuGroove closed. He literally put about $15,000 in my hand.
Buy NuGroove, and buy house music.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, that's when the shift changed. I remember that.
Right there.
Because I remember asking Roland, what happened to the Burrell Brothers? He go,
he laughed.
He laughed like that. He went, the Burrell Brothers? Those motherfuckers are making buku cash down south. We're like, really? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So
I remember him laughing about it, going, they're luckiest bastards I ever knew.
We went to Warner Chapel and got like a 6-figure publishing check. So I was like, either way, we're good. It's about the music.
It's about the music, man.
We fucking put out. Told you, it's about the music industry, not industry music. It's music industry.
You gotta have the music.
Built on music. So as long as you got good music.
Okay, so break it down now. Tony Braxton, what happens from there? What's the
all
big
right? So no, we're off and running now because Vincent has all this work piled up. I think he had just went through maybe the second iteration of Three Boys from Newark, and he had all these deals on the table that he really couldn't optimize because he needed in-house producers that could just turn this shit over, like pancakes.
Like a machine.
Like a fucking machine. And he met the two right. I mean, he'd always admired us. I admired him when he was in phase 2. We talked backstage because we did a couple things in Zanzibar and all that. So he knew our acumen. Plus with NuGroove, we're whipping him out. You know that. We're not gonna sit and pray over this music. We putting it out, right? So he knows our
That's
work.
What I always liked about you guys. You never really held on to something like a baby. You were like, next. Look.
Yeah,
That's
there you go.
There you go. There's a reason why I said that. Look at the picture.
Yeah.
That says
and Lenny, just to pat ourselves on the back, that's some of them. That's not all.
No, that's not everything. That's a piece of it. That's a piece of the game.
Yeah. So he knew that about us already. So it all kind of came together, right time, right place, or wrong time, right place, how we want to put it. When NuGroove folded, Roland hooked that up. I played him some things. We're in the basement. We're doing whatever. So now the shit is rolling downhill R&B pop-wise. So he's got us doing. He's got group signed to Arista. He's got group signed to Elektra, Atlanta, Polygram, Polydor. I'm doing a hip hop thing. Did a group called Channel Live with KRS One. So I'm doing a hip hop thing. We're making remixes or helping to make remixes with Clark Kent. So we're in the studio with him, making sure things sound musical and stuff. Not really in a name kind of way, but I'm learning from Clark. Really, he's paying me by teaching me what these aren't hip hop / R&B. He's remixing SWV and Troop and Johnny Gill right way. Christopher. Matter of fact, here's the ironic thing. Every Little Thing You Do was produced by like Vincent and all that, but then Clark did the remix. So I'm rolling with Vincent and Clark, right? So I see this whole record and all the people involved. So we have our foot in the house music world, hip hop world, and R&B pop world at the same time. 90 through 95, basically. So I'm going out with Clark. I'm coming back over here to house music. I'm going back in the basement making house music and R&B shit. I go see Vincent. We're doing, Aaliyah, 1 in a Million album. I'm coming back doing house music. We do a remix for Brandy. I mean, we're doing R&B.
It's just like that.
Fucking crazy, bro. And I love every minute of it because, again, it's about the music. I love the fact that Ronald could express himself. I could express myself. So if we need to get a hip-hop fix, I go see Clark. Who's more hip-hop than that? I mean, damn, especially at that time, I'm in with the guy who's doing all the remixes.
Reggie, are both you and Ronald constantly working together in the hip-hop world stuff, or you're separate still?
Absolutely not. We work together by the same way we do our music is I love to hear what Ronald comes up with, and if I got 2 cents, he'll get it. That's how we best work. And we've had projects to where I do the music, I get him the music, he works with the artists with the vocals and all that kind of shit like that. He'll get it back to me and be like, yeah, let him do that again. And that's it. I don't need to coach him. He's fucking genius. If there's anything wrong with it, I mean, I might, I'm just being an asshole about it. Like, I don't want him to get too, like he just does everything right. He don't do everything right. So, and I think he treats me the same way. He knows I'm completely capable. I think that's his phone. Ronald, why your phone like that? But he's completely capable of producing a record. And then I look at what he's doing like a fan, which it fell.
Yeah.
I look at Ronald. I'm a fan of Ronald. I just happen to be in the same. Sports people say it all the time. Could you imagine being on the same team as Michael Jordan? You just on a bench going, God damn. I have on a Bulls jersey, but I'm a fan. Look at what he's doing. I look at Ronald that way. I go, I'm not in competition with him, and if it is, it's a healthy competition. I'm trying to make my records bad as shit. Did you hear My Love Is Magic? I gotta deserve to be in the group. I gotta deserve to stand next to him. I got Burrell on my jersey, so I can't slip. And I'm not gonna let him slip. If he plays me something, I think something can happen a little better. I'm gonna tell him. So that's how we work together. He's a contained artist himself. And I'm lucky that all I got to do is just hear something to go, yo, put that high note on the harp. Put that high note or bring up this. That's it. Or do the hook again, or make the intro longer. Just my opinion. And I respect his opinion. If he said to clap, yeah, bring the clap up. I push the clap up. We're done. Good. Run it down. So in the studio, might have been 5 or 6 times that we've created something from the ground up kind of together. But and the Burrell album was one of them. We were both in Calliope creating that. And not even, and I'm lying, not from the ground up, because we came in there with ideas of what we wanted to do. It's just we worked on it together. So when you look at the Burrell album, the credits will say written by Ronald Burrell. Gonna Make You Dance is Ronald Burrell. Don't say Rheji and Rhano. Ronald came in with that idea. We cultivated it together, but that was his song. And, I really like, I wrote that, and Put the Trust in Music, I wrote that. But Ronald did the keyboards because he's a better keyboard player than me. And he did the keyboards. I just like go, and he would do it. I could have powered through it, but I got him sitting here. Do it. Right. So we've worked together on projects like a Burrell thing we did that again, not in the same room, but we talk about what we want to do and kind of A&R each other and get it done. But we, again, really rare that we're sitting in the same studio working on something. We did a rock album, sort of like a hip hop rock album. We were in the studio together. And I didn't send you the visual on that, but it's called Thug Rock Stars. And we did it some time ago. And again, people who've heard that record is like, you guys was on some shit. And I'm like, yeah, we were tired of doing R&B and we wanted to do something crazy, just like wipe the board crazy. So we just fired up the MPC and got some rock guitars and just like created this whole album that's like rock and hip hop. And it was, what was it, 2001 or something? Yeah. And it's still like this cult thing. I mean, I got like Daddy-O from Setsasonic heard it, and he still calls me about it. What are y'all doing with that? Nothing, man. We just, I don't know, man. I mean, it's out, but whatever. So we've done things together, and it's basically to cleanse our palates, if you will. Like, let's just make some like what Ronald said with Dum Dum. Let's just do some shit. Like, this ain't for nothing. This is just to kind of cleanse our palate and like be crazy. And that's when we work together, is when we just go. See, because
everybody thinks they see this picture, right? For example, and they think you two are together like all the time, doing what you do, and it's just magic.
How romantic.
Yeah, the romantic thought of it. It's like, oh,
I wish I had a twin brother. We together all the time.
Together they're working and making great art. Meanwhile, ain't nothing like that.
No.
Exactly.
No, we're not like sitting at a piano bench together and I'm handling the upper register and he's down below and we're just high five when we're done.
Yo, that's what we should do. We should make a video of us doing all the shit they thought we were doing, like a double mint commercial.
Like the Smothers Brothers together.
Reggie, you take the low, I'll do the high.
I'll take the high. We never fucking did that. Never. I mean, in 40 years, like 5 times.
You know what I like about both of you? Really like? You know, when you're speaking, Reggie, Ronald's not trying to cut you off. You know exactly when to step forward and do and say it when it needs to be said. I'm kind of gathering that from the music as well now. I can see the same situations. Who steps forward? Who steps back? Who steps forward now? I step back, like a dance. You're not fighting to get spotlight. You just want to make sure it's right.
And it's funny you said that, because I just now realized you said that's true. He's doing something, I kind of let it do it. I don't ever step on his toes. And he does the same for me. When I say I'm putting something out, he goes, all right, let's let it have its shine for a minute. I don't ever remember he's saying I put out a record today, and I go, me too. It just never happened like that.
Is that because of your mom and dad, and how you guys kept the,
you know what I think it is? I think it is mainly because of that, because we grew up. I remember one time me and my brothers were out in the street kind of arguing a little bit. My father came out there and basically embarrassed all of us, said, you motherfuckers don't be arguing like that. Like, don't do it. Right. So from that lesson, I learned that you got to have a self-respect so you can offer it to someone else. And I've always respected Ronald more than I respect anybody on the planet. So when he's about to say something, even if I think it's going to be something I can't use, I end up using it. Whatever it is, it might be come back later, right? Maybe I respect his opinion and his experiences that much, where he got to watch what he says to me, because I'm going to, like you would do anybody very important to you. You just watch what you say, because I'm going to take it in, and
You're valuing it.
I'm going to consider it. I'm going to consider it heavily. Even if I don't do it, I'm still going to, out of respect, consider it heavily, because I respect what you do and what you're about to say and who you are. So when you see us doing this dance, it's because I'm listening more than I'm talking. When he's talking, I'm listening. And even I guess that's a martial arts thing too, right? When the teacher's speaking, it might be a military thing. When the sergeant is speaking, you're listening.
Your dad was a military man, correct?
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't overtalk him. You better not.
There's a pecking order in the military.
It is.
It's respect, value, and
it's the order to it.
And loyalty.
Yeah. And it doesn't make, you know what? Ronald is going to speak wisdom. He's just not making shit up on the cuff. Now, if I thought you was just full of shit, I'm not even gonna let you speak. I'm out. You can talk all you want. I'm just gonna be over there somewhere. But there are a few people. There are a lot of people. Well, I'd say a lot. Most of the people that I would be around, right? So that's what I'm saying. A lot. The people that I would be around, I consider them, or I wouldn't be around you, right? So if I'm in a room with Clark Kent, I don't care what he's about to say. I want to hear it. If I'm in a room with like Heavy D or somebody that I respect in a way that
sure, you want to hear them. You want to hear them.
I want to hear them, and I will.
Even if it's off the cuff, crazy.
Even if it's off the cuff,
just to see where they're going.
Where it's going, I'm going to give you that because you deserve it. You've earned it. You've earned my respect. Right?
Well, you know that's people reading in tea leaves. Like you can actually read the tea leaves. That comes with experience.
And it's also a self-respect, because why would I be in a room full of people I don't want to hear? See how that goes? Right? Why would I be in a room full of people I don't want to hear? That's me. And that's a self-control deal, right? So if I'm in a room with you and Ronald, I want to hear what each one of you have to say. And hopefully you want to hear what I have to say. And that's just basically a common respect, right? I'll respect you as much as I respect myself, right? So I have to respect myself and my time so that I can share that with you.
Ronald, I want to tell this to the world. You guys don't do these kind of interviews. So if you're on my show, you must respect what I do.
I do.
Tell me, just knowing us, you're probably one of the few people that's got us both in the same interview.
I know that.
Interviews, they either do with me or Reggie.
I didn't want it that way. I wanted both of you.
And we looked at each other and we was like, "You're going to do this interview?" And I said, "Yes." I've known his name and I know him for a while. Yes, let's do it. Because
I love you guys.
Matter of fact, with Defected, we've never talked to them at the same time.
Yeah, rarely. And that's sort of like a running joke in the industry, is you never see Reggie and Ronald at the same time.
Well, I know that.
Oh, yeah, you never really do.
I know that.
My friends like a Philip and Roland and all them, they still are like, they're both here. Somebody cut a check. Cut a check.
If something's wrong, there's money involved.
Yeah. They're both here, Reggie and Ronald. Like, oh shit.
I had to cut them a check today, guys.
Yeah, something happened. They're up here in Universal for something.
Know what? You know what? I wanted people to understand the relationship, the working relationship, how important the family is to you guys.
Absolutely. All of it.
Everything, right?
All of it.
Everything.
Everything. When I have a decision to make, especially now with my wife and kids and everything, it's got to be good for all of us. It's got to be good for all. I don't make any decision. I don't care if it's dinner. I don't make no decision without considering my family.
So you have a board, basically having a board in the house, having a full board of chair, and you're the chairman. You go to the board for the end. Let's do a vote. We doing this?
Yep.
So I'm gonna say
I am what I call it is I'm a humble king. I'm a humble king. I serve my people.
So when you need to get advice, I'm going to presume that phone call goes to Ronald.
Oh,
it does
immediately.
Yeah,
no matter what it is, buying a car, it could be whatever, family stuff.
Well, I have an older brother too, and I have a board. My wife is on the board. My mother's on the board. Ronald's on the board. And it depends on what I'm buying or what I'm talking about. Even my kids are on the board because they're not going to sugarcoat shit. I got 5 girls. So if I'm trying to buy something or do something that I think they're subject matter expert on, they're gonna tell me the truth, and I want the truth. And that's the kind of people I hang around. You don't gotta dance around with me. I'm a big boy, right? As long as you don't talk about my mother and my wife and my kids, we good. So the people, again, I go back to saying, what am I doing in a room full of people I don't want to hear from? The people around me I completely respect and I consider. I heavily don't mean I'm gonna do it, just means I consider it. So again, I ask my wife, I tell them all the time, watch what you say to me because I'm going to react in that way. So if you say, there's a guy outside, I'm coming outside, you better make sure I'm on. So watch what you say to me because I'm going to take that as I'm saying it. Mm-hmm.
Word in the street was millions of dollars was paid for NuGroove Records.
Okay. I like that though. I like that. Sounds good.
They bought the catalog.
Mm-hmm.
The UK company, I'm not going to say, I'll let you explain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew where the catalog was for a long time. Now we understand. We've heard about that, Burrell's came back with the catalog because most of the records are your records anyway.
That's right.
Right. 90% of the catalog, I think, is Burrell, right?
Yeah.
Burrell Inc. Okay. Did it go down like that?
Yeah,
it went down. There was money. There was contract.
The only reason why I'm not going to disclose, hold on, Ronald. The reason why I'm not going to disclose the money because there are two. This is respecting. It's 2 parties involved. If it was just us, then I'll tell you just what we know. But because the other companies involved, and I'm not a spokesman, they didn't pay me to market and promote them or nothing like that. They didn't give me the okay or authorization to say anything about them. I'm going to leave it at there was compensation. It was
structured deal, and we
structured deal
95% of what we wanted,
and we are happy with the advances. We're happy with the structure. We're happy with the performance. We kind of we're
held them to the fire.
We held them to the fire, and they responded, and we're doing great in the deal, and I'm happy because again, NuGroove catalog laid a little, I don't want to say dormant, but just they are energizing the catalog.
Yes, and they took something that
so we knew that the advance is not going to do their job. They have to do their job. So there's compensation involved, but I'm mostly concerned about how activated the catalog has to become. So the sugar in the deal is like we put out records. You don't do record deals for the record company to put the record on the shelf. That's not how you get royalties. That's not how you get your next deal, is the record sitting on the shelf. It has to be in the marketplace. So the cotter pin to any deal that we do now, and it should have been always, put the records out. The advance is cool, got it. But where the longevity comes from is it being active in the marketplace. So our new partners, not so new, but our current partner, understands that it's not the money you giving us up front is why I'm doing this. What we're doing is to activate the catalog so that it'll take care of us. The catalog is all the music. Again, put your trust in the music.
So on the master's side of it, was it actually a buyout or is it like a leasing situation for you in the long run?
Without getting detailed, I would say I'm comfortable with saying it's a hybrid.
Okay, so your partner's in it.
Hybrid, yeah. We
so
have a venture. I wouldn't even say the word partner. I wouldn't say partner. I'd say venture. We have
let's put like this. So you didn't relinquish. See, some deals I've heard from other companies, like Sony comes in and buys you. They give you a nice whopping check, and basically, yes, you get your publishing forever and ever until you sell that off. But most people relinquish their assignment of rights.
Okay,
so you're in a hybrid. You're in a hybrid.
I will say it's a hybrid. That it has some characteristics of what you mentioned. It has some other characteristics of just a regular licensing deal. It has a publishing component, but it's not a locked away, perpetual kind of situation.
Like everybody's deals were.
No, it's not that. Well, so it's a deal where we all.
Because I'm proud of putting it in there. We made Defected tell us what they're going to do with it in writing. Like, by this time, you're going to do this. You got to include us in that. We have to do this. It's just not because I said I want to know that I have a job. That we got to hand you 6 records. Are we doing 3 albums? What do you want from us? What are you going to do with these records? We're going to do remix record here. We're going to do it. They tried to tell us what they're going to do, and they put it in writing. So I know the job they have to do. I know if they're failing or not. They know if we're failing or not. Well, what if I just take your money and sit here for 3 years?
And that happens. Ronald, that happens a lot.
It does.
I don't want it to happen. I didn't sign a deal to sit in jail for 3 years. I signed the deal to go forward. So how are we both going forward? You need product from us that's new, as well as work the catalog. And how are you going to work the catalog? We're going to do remixes with new people. I said, great, that'll give us a whole new crowd. But you understand those new people don't own anything. And they go, yes, they're still your records. Okay, great. Well, then we want to put 3 new records with every record you give us. So we now fresh in the market, and you have something no one else has. So, but we also get that if you turn it down, we can do what we want with it. So it's
a first for right of refusal. It's a licensing. It's new deal. It's the best of kind of everything that you could think of.
Everything I could think of that protects NuGroove, or that protects our integrity, the integrity of NuGroove. It gives them a chance to go forward with what they think NuGroove should be. They know their marketplace better than me. I was like, come on, Wes. I mean, y'all know this. Look, y'all got Glitterbox. You're doing something right. So yeah, speak to those people. Give them what they want from my music. Give it to them. So I give them a lot of leeway too. So it's a really good deal.
It's basically a big ass record deal.
Well, do you guys like this new way? Well, it's not really new anymore. Do you compare it to the physical machinery that we used to work in? Do you like the streaming better?
No. I like it different, not better. I like it because it's something else that you can add to your mix, right? It's something else, right? So if you're doing the vinyl, we've always done that. We know the vinyl game is good. It is what it is. And I'm not the master of the universe, right? You got to roll with the times. You got to remain flexible so that you can grow and still innovate and still be here. Because if you're still are rolling around with cassette tapes, I don't know how viable that is now. You can like them all you want to, but people don't have cassette players, right? So there's vinyl. Vinyl's still alive and well. They ship out vinyl. But again, there's a streaming thing. You deal with it or die, right? So we deal with it because that's what you got to do to remain current, relevant, and still alive. So I don't want to say I dislike it. I'm not going to say I'm a cheerleader for it, but I am saying as a businessman, you better roll with it or what else you're going to do. What else are you going to do? That's what the times are now. So the people who have iPhones and Samsungs listen to my music the way they consume it. It's got to be on the plate. You can't eat it unless you put it on the plate. So we put it on the plate.
I don't like the way Ronald looks. So he don't look too happy about that streaming.
No. It's because I don't.
You got that look.
Yeah, he was like,
nah, I don't buy it.
No, I don't understand the financial breakdown of all of that shit.
That's the problem with it.
But what I do understand is I am talking to a Scandinavian girl DJ that I never would have talked to before. That's what I held them to do. If you can get my music into her hands in the way she likes it, that she knows who I am. And she knows, and she'll be curious at what we've done and what was there and what we're handing her now. And we made a new fan. And maybe in the future, she can become 20 years from now, somebody like you still talking to us. So I was more interested in, I know we're getting fucked by the streaming. I already know it. We're all getting it. But do it in a integral way.
Yeah, because you can't walk into like NuGroove and say, Frank, I want 15,000.
No, see, that's where you're wrong a little bit. It kind of has a component where we do, and I won't put too much out there, there is an override to every NuGroove record that belongs to Burrell. So there is a bank. Oops, sorry about that.
So yeah, I mean,
what do you mean there's a vault bank? What do you mean?
I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just saying that NuGroove is still good to the Burrell brothers. And we have the.
What do you mean? Wait. Is this like what's his name? Like Ray Charles had lift up the bed and under the mattress is $100,000, like pull money out when you need it, like that?
NuGroove is doing well, and that we have structures in place to help everyone do well when the boss does well. It still has that mafia thing.
Mentality. Right. It never lost that luster feeling.
Correct.
Right. So in the spirit of everyone sitting at the table and eating, I don't believe that NuGroove should just be feeding one person. It should be feeding all involved, especially when you've been involved from the beginning. So the deal is structured so that we all move forward.
And to Defected's credit, they brought that up first.
Right.
So I'll give them that credit. We didn't have to go into it. They said, we want to make sure that you're happy with the deal you signed with us. And we want to offer you this as part of making sure that you know you have a home with us. And they did. They absolutely did it. So they came to us with a deal I 80% liked. And it was long haul relationship shit. Is that's not what it's fucking with you? Give us the NuGroove.
It was a level of respect. It was a level of respect.
We speak to them just about every day.
Yeah.
And the next deal we're doing with them, they came to us with it again.
Right.
They said, "What are y'all doing with that?" And I'm like, "What do you want with that?" And so we're adding components on because they actually really respect and love what we did, and not just saying it, they're doing it. It's
almost like if you had an antique, you put on the white gloves before you pick it up.
The show and said, "Hey, I like you guys." No, you said, "I'm putting you on. I'm talking to you. I'm doing it." And this is what they said. We're not just saying we liked you. We're saying you're on. We're doing it. We'll remaster everything you give us. And they did it. I'm sorry, guys. My V card is starting to mess up on this laptop.
Yeah. So I love the level of attention, respect for themselves, right? Now that we're saying it out there, Defect is a good company, man. And I think their reputation is just as intact as ours. And they treated us like they would treat themselves, not any less. And I got to give them the credit and kudos for understanding what NuGroove meant to people like you, to people like us, to people around the world. They didn't just go, let me just take it and fucking just sling out garbage and just fucking not care. They care, and it shows from every level, behind the rope and in front of the rope, right? They treated us like they gave a fuck about what we did and what we can do. And I appreciate that about them. And I appreciate that about all of our partners.
Direct response. You know, if it's a bullshit, they say it. If it's a great idea, they say it. If they say they're going to do it on Monday, it's done on Monday. You know, they really handle us. And so if you're having somebody waving the reflective flag, I'm waving it. They're very good company. I'm very happy with what they're doing.
And that's all that matters. You have to go to sleep at night and feeling comfortable about that decision.
Yeah.
And with that, moving forward, you know we have a House Masters record coming out, right?
They're doing the House Masters compilation for Burrell Brothers.
With 5 new ones.
Yeah.
Right.
4 or 5. I think it's 4. 4 new ones.
We're working on that right now with them.
Okay.
They asked for it. And put some money on top of it when they didn't have to. So trust me, I feel loved by Defected.
Good. That's what you want. We want to make sure that's what's happening.
Yeah, and it's rare. It's rare, and I understand that. But I think NuGroove is rare too. So they're not coming at. They didn't come at us like regular, because I don't think what we did was regular. I don't.
So we're happy there. Oh man, I'm sorry about this.
Yeah, your phone. You need to tape that shit to the wall or something.
Firefox. I'll bring it up over there. Hold on.
Hang on a second. For all the billions of dollars these guys made,
this motherfucker got.
He can't even get his thing.
But remember what I got on this shit right here because my bowls didn't work.
Yeah, his thing's
$300 goddamn thing.
They're breaking down. They're going right back to that mom's basement. They're getting ready to make another
I'm about to sell
right
all this. Look, That's why they get new speakers. They got the 35-year-old ones because those fucking work. All the rest of them break, fucking yeah. But no.
Who came up with the name NuGroove?
They did, but I had a group called New View, and I spelled it NUVUE. So when she showed me what she wrote down, NuGroove was NUW groove, and I was like, change the NEW to NU, and you got something.
And nobody trademarked it back then.
Nope. Registered trademark. There's a trademark, but not registered. No.
Correct.
Yeah. No.
With this new deal.
But with the new deal,
it's all locked in now.
Yeah, it's all locked in.
Yeah, of course. You guys also are, 40 years down the road, smarter.
Yeah.
You're also wiser. You've been around the block. You know what I mean? You've wrote some of the rules and regulations of how we all play the game.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like the same it was when you guys were coming out of college, high school, going to become a police trooper. You're not green anymore. You're veterans, or should I say veterans of this game. Veterans.
Yeah, and part of it is, again, and I'm gonna go back to my martial arts thing. I didn't join the Kwan or dojo, what people call it. I knew I wasn't a black belt. So you have to kind of humble yourself, and maybe even the point of humiliating yourself to learn from the masters. So when I'm around Timmy, I don't tell Timmy what I want. I listen at what Timmy has to say and what he's doing. So I knew enough to humble myself, even if I didn't agree with it. Like we say about being in a room full of people that, I'm in the room with the senior VP of Motown and Merlin Bob, who's the senior VP, and I'm what do I know? I know I don't know anything. I'm gonna learn so that at the end of the day, I do know something. And I don't mean know as an information. I mean know as an experience.
Right.
Because information and experience are two different things.
That's right.
So right now we're experiencing this. This is knowledge, not information. It's knowledge. So being around Timmy, being around Merlin, being in the booth with Tony, being at Zanzibar, those are all life lessons, right? So that's sort of what we're applying now, is what we live through. So it's not information, it's experience.
And thanks to that 98.7 Kiss Master Mix Dance Party show on Fridays and Saturday nights, helped launch all of us into the stratosphere.
Absolutely.
Because none of us would have got record deals like the way we did without having that box playing what we were doing in rooms.
That's right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, if I could salute and stand up salute and give all my accolades to Mr. Timmy Regisford. He heard it. He put it on the radio. A couple weeks later, if my memory serves me right, we were signing a deal with Virgin Records on the strength of he knows what the hell he's doing. Yeah, on the strength of he knows what the hell he's doing, and he did. And I guess I could say I thank God that he knew. We almost knew what we were doing, right? I almost knew. I knew what we were doing, but I didn't know that he knew. He believed in us. Like we kind of lived with him, and I would see him looking at us doing what we did, and I didn't know if he was like, "What the fuck did I do?" or "God damn, these dudes are dope." Because Timmy's like a stone. He was like a stone, and I couldn't get him.
You can't read him.
But then I hear him talk about us, like these guys are dope. I'm like, so he liked it. He is feeling. And if you know Timmy, I don't think he's the kind of guy that wastes his time. So I took it that when we live with him, or we're in Soundworks with him, or he's teaching us about remixing and mixing, that we're supposed to be here. Because I don't believe he would have us around if we didn't.
Right.
So, and we're around we're around Teddy Riley and all these other people he's around, and I'm like, I guess we belong here, man. And when I say guess, I say that, yeah, hell yeah, we do. And even if I didn't think so, he does, and I respect him that much. That if it's gonna be wrong, he's just wrong as hell, I guess. But we belong here. And when we put the music out, it got validated, right? That whatever we thought, the truth is, people think the same. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So I don't have to judge it no more, because it's being judged favorably. So we belong here.
And you're not going anywhere. You still
Yeah,
doing
I've
it?
never. And
Well,
here's
you
the
know
thing
what?
too, and I'm gonna pat us both on the back with this. That I've never read a review that said, "Fuck these motherfuckers." Like horrible. What the hell? Like ill. Like I've never,
Yeah,
even
but
if it wasn't
Reggie,
your favorite
knowing
record.
you, but Reggie, knowing you wouldn't care anyway.
You know what? I'd like to think I
Or is that
wouldn't.
a dexterity that you put on for the world? Which part is
I
it?
don't know how I would react. It's like seeing somebody, just
Because because I can imagine if somebody said, "Yo, man, did you read what such and such wrote?" You'd be
if
like,
it
"I
was
don't give."
like scathing, like fuck these. It's the worst house. I don't know. I might put in a phone call and go like, all right, like
What
why would
qualifies you for
you
that?
say that?
Right.
Like, why are you
Going
the
through,
only one to
right?
say that?
What was going
Right.
through your mind when you were
What's
listening?
going through you? Like, what kind of house music do you like? Because seems to me like you're the only motherfucker. Like I might not take kindly to it. I'm not saying I'm going up there to throw somebody off a roof, but I'm just saying like I'm glad over these years that at least it's been received with a certain level of respect, even if it's not your
Totally.
favorite. But
No.
it's at least a certain level of respect. And
Look,
I thank the community and the DJs and the editors and all that. I thank you for not, being assholes about it if you didn't. Because again, to this day, when I read articles, I'm not saying they're all glowing, but I am saying that no one's really jumped out the window to try to disrespect sort of what we were doing and what we're trying to achieve. And I appreciate that. I do.
thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I think you summed it up. The Burrell brothers, the top of the heap to R&B, dance, house music,
Mm-hmm.
hip hop.
To everything you say, I'm gonna show another plaque. Right, keep going.
There you go. From the who's who.
Oh, what about the Grand Theft Auto one, Ronald? Do you have that one?
That way. Hold on.
In Grand Theft Auto too. Look,
Yeah. Look at that.
over
145 million.
million sales.
Yeah.
NuGroove Records.
There you go.
Lord.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, and another thing to go on what my brother said was, you guys wouldn't let us forget it. I can tell you that right now. When we were moved on into R&B land, and I just thought house music done, Calvin Harris us out, and we're just done. Every single time. I mean, in my Facebook, Instagram, somebody going, "Oh man, but what about let this or I say a prayer for you, this and Song of the Siren was my shit, and when you coming back out, because I want to hear this and that and all the shit you did on City and I mean, I never would hear. I couldn't go a day without somebody going, no, that's good, but the house music shit, that's the shit. And I'm just like, you're not gonna let it go, are you? I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go. Yeah, but that Bonawar, they come out with something new, and I'm just like, you're not gonna let it go, are you? You're just not gonna let it go.
Mm-mm.
So that's
every day.
That's the epitaph. No, that's the epitaph. Burrell Brothers, NuGroove Records.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, no, they didn't let it go. I tried to, like the mob, like you said, the mob. I tried to leave.
It's the same with guys like me. Any one of us would say, what happened to Burrell's? We know what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? We knew you were in platinum land. Playing with
but someone like you would go, yeah, but you know what? Song of the Siren was my shit.
You know, I was
right. And be like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I heard the JoJo thing. That's fine. But what about the new housing authority? Like, when are we getting another metro? And I'm like, God.
Yeah, what happened to those? What happened to those groups?
Yeah. Right. That's how every conversation went. And I was like, you know what? Okay, you want it. I'm gonna fucking give it back to you now. Protect it. Put this
is what you want.
All of it.
Yeah, right. So Defected gave
That's
us,
the last question I have. To get yourselves back into that house music thing, did you have to change anything?
No. That's my formula. My formula is that I got there being Reggie. Ronald got there being Ronald.
Guess
and
what?
I can wake up every day
liking.
Yeah.
That's probably the only friction we ever had, was with them going, do not do anything new.
Right.
We want that sound that you did. If anything, that's the only struggle we had. Don't do new, don't get cute. Give us NuGroove.
Right. When I hand them something that's close to what NuGroove sound would be, they're like, exclamation point, capital. This reminds me when I first heard you guys.
They want authentic NuGroove.
And you know what? All my friends, like the Michael Moogs and all them, they're like, people are still trying to emulate what you guys were doing. And I'm like, well, I can emulate what I can emulate what I was doing, right? So it feels great to wake up in the morning, turn on my gear if I turned it off, and just be Reggie. I was always good enough. It's always good enough. And I wish a lot of artists knew that people loved who you are, not just who you were, who you are. I don't have to be anything other than Reggie Burrell. I don't even have to try to be Ronald, because there's a perfectly good Ronald right there. Do what I love and trust in the music. That's what I do. I do it for me. And if I like it, I'll share it with you.
That's it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. We put your trust in your music.
That's right.
Setting the standards. Mm-hmm. Don't let it stop. NuGroove has more to say.
That's right.
So much.
Absolutely. We got the house, the House Masters collection coming out with 4 new ones on there. I just handed in another one. I mean, it feels good to be me for me. Again, it's the NuGroove attitude. Fucking you do your shit, and if you love it, we'll put it out. And if they don't, I do it anyway. So I'll put it out. So right, so I guess that's the perfect segue into kind of what we're doing now, right? Right. So we both have labels on TrackSource. We both have, we both put stuff out on the iTunes and through the DSPs and everything. So we're not hard to find doing whatever you want to do. But again, if we're talking the house music thing, I think the epitome is kind of what we've architected with Defected. But we still, put out stuff irrespective of the Defected deal, right? Because they have a machine over there that they have to operate and run. But our turnover is faster than what anybody could ever put out, right? I could show you 50 fucking records right now. Are they buying 50 records? Probably not.
No.
So the other 20 that they don't buy, I got to do something with them, and I put them out.
3 albums in the month of October alone.
Yeah, I just put out 20 records last night. So yeah, and I cataloged another 300. Oh, that's just me. I don't even know what he got.
And I got a new album coming out on the 24th of this month.
Right. So we're just as prolific as we've ever been. And if I can mention real quick, I have a nonprofit that's going to be music centric. It's basically a facility that houses everything musicians need: rehearsal spaces, performance spaces, databases, and all that kind of stuff. So think of us as sort of like the YMCA for music.
All right, where are they going to get? How do they get to you with this?
It's called themic.org. So the mic stands for Music Industry Center. So the mic.org is what it is.
Yeah, that everybody get in there, sign up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're working on it. It's a labor of love because, again, with a community based 501c3, the money doesn't go in my pocket. We share it with the community. So it's more like a cultural center, if you will, because we recognize all the different cultures express themselves musically. So we want everybody to be involved. We take the money that we do earn. We, of course, reinvest it in the mic in our programs and development, but we also go into the community. We want to do drives and food drives and just give it right back to the community that loves us. So it's musicians standing up for musicians. We doing what we do best is support the community. So that's what I do at my org. Again, that's themic.org, nc.org. That's what I'm doing along with all the rest of the NC.
Mic, North Carolina, the mic NC.org.
Right. And I'd like to thank you in advance for your generous tax-deductible donation.
Thank you, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Mr. Ronald, we know you got albums and crap. You got some crap loads coming out, boy. You ain't stopping, are you?
No.
All right.
I think everything's good. You can find me anywhere. Just look everywhere. I'm every corner of everything.
Yeah.
In the universe.
Anything, Facebook, Instagram.
At the end of the nuclear invasion, it's going to be cockroaches and Ronald.
That's it.
Records.
That's it.
Right.
Thank you.
And we always thank you, people like you, Lenny.
Lenny. Thank you so much. You're a warrior. You've been around the block with us, and the reason why we respect you so much is you were there. You were there. You're not telling the story. You're telling we're part of your story, just like you're part of ours.
Well, I remember Judy telling me, "Get out of here, Lenny. I'm not giving you any friggin' free records. You got to buy."
Friggin' free records.
You ain't giving you and those effing. I want to say.
That's up.
You and those fucking DJs coming here bothering us for free shit. I'm like, yo, I gotta play the stuff. I ain't giving shit out no more.
Wow, you got her down pat.
I remember.
No more.
And then, you know what? And then after you guys leave, she go, you and your fucking brother, you're making these fucking records that everybody wants for free.
Right.
Fuck. I'm like, are you blaming me?
Right. You and your freaking brother. Right? May she rest in peace, Judy Russell. We all loved her.
Oh,
she
love
was
her.
She was like the character of NuGroove, and I was friends with her forever with Manny Lehman and Vinyl Man. But we have such great war stories, and I can't thank you enough for lending your time, both of you, which is unheard of to get you both together. I'm so happy to be able to do this on the best show in the game, True House Stories.
That's right.
That's it.
Absolutely. You got to get the t-shirts, man. Get us
True
t-shirts.
House
I do have.
Okay.
I do.
Well, you here with Ronald Burrell and Reggie Burrell and Lenny on True House Stories.
That's it. Good night, everyone. Thank you around the world. We'll see you next week. Hang on, guys.